Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome back once again to our second Let's Talk on Cyberpunk. This is going to be a Let's Talk on Act II of the game. I'm here joined once again by Kathleen, David, and Shay. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And just to specify for everybody who's watching, what do I mean by Act II? So there are certain missions or side missions that could unlock even after you unlock Act 3, but they're still considered Act 2 because depending on your actions, depending on what order you do certain missions or what side missions you end up taking, it's still possible to unlock all of these missions in Act 2. But for most people, some of them may still trickle over after you unlock Act 3. So it'll be very obvious. I don't want to, in order to help with spoilers, it'll be very obvious what mission kicks off Act 3. So everything that is Act 3 is pretty much where it explicitly tells you this is the point of no return. That's the beginning of Act 3. So we're not going to talk about any of that stuff. We're going to talk about everything else that happens after Act 1 ends. And hopefully that will give you an idea of what we're covering and not covering. So, let us begin. Jackie's ofrenda and that whole sequence, which I thought was beautifully well done. I don't know if any of you three want to jump in and talk about this.
That was a nice goodbye. I liked it. Yeah.
It was shockingly meaningful. Like for as early as it was in the game, it's sort of like it hit me like early on. I was like, whoa, that was like I'm literally just a few hours into this game, right? But yeah.
Just speaking about people, their memories of them, giving them meaningful gifts, on the altar. Again, for me, it didn't feel like a religious thing. It was more like a respectful thing to do, like anyone could have done. Even though he was religious and all that, it felt very neutral and nice and really respectful. I liked it.
Yeah, I wonder what you guys put. I guess you could pick from a couple of different things to put on the altar, right? I think I picked like a whiskey or something because I was like, I don't know. I thought that was cool. So
No, I picked the right thing. So
do you remember what the right thing was?
I don't even remember what I picked.
The book.
The book.
The book.
Yes.
I think, me too. Yeah.
You put the book down?
Yeah.
I think I remember that, Jay. I put the basketball, actually. Mostly because I remembered... I'd like to remember Jackie as the fun one. The one who, like, jokes around and, is casual. And so that's why I ended up picking the basketball.
There's no right and wrong, really. So
I did enjoy the fact that, A, you were given the opportunity to say a few words about Jackie if you wanted to, and B, that you were able to customize what you said along the way. I thought it was a really nice touch. And I think my biggest critique, and this could have been something that I just missed, I don't know, and maybe part of it is because maybe it was more of a thing in a different background since I was Corpo, was I didn't really know who Jackie's mom or family was until the ofrenda. So they kind of built it out to make it seem like you already had this relationship in history and that you had this attachment to this woman and to this family. But as a player, I didn't really at the beginning, at least. By the end, I think they were able to do as much as they could to make me feel attached to his mama, to Mama Wells. But I felt like maybe if there was more railroaded opportunities for me to have met, not only meet Jackie's mom, but just witness more interaction between himself and his mom. You got to see like a split second of it during the montage from the prologue to Act 1, but other than that, my investment, my attachment was not as good as it could have been because I didn't already have that established connection. So that's my only critique.
Yeah, that's agreed. Something needed to be in Act One. That build up, like even picking up Jackie or something for that heist. Like it could have gone. You could have gone to that home to pick them up. So that little clip in that montage could have just been a 5-minute scene, you know, and you would have gotten more out of it. Yeah.
What did you guys end up doing with Jackie's body? Because I think that actually has repercussions based on what you chose. Because I sent him back to his family. I feel like, didn't you leave him in the car?
I did.
And how about David and
sent
Kathleen?
back to his family.
Sent back to his family and Kathleen?
Same.
Do you remember?
Send back.
What? Did you see what the consequence was for leaving him in the car?
No,
Shay?
no. I mean, he eventually makes it back to the family still, but
That's good.
I thought maybe the whole Delamain quest, like I was sort of looking forward to what happened to Del to find out. Good Lord, was this because I left the body in the car? Like you fractured, like you had a mental breakdown because you didn't know what to do with the body. I mean, I can talk a little bit more about the whole Jackie thing, but I'm afraid because I haven't finished Act 3. But and I don't know how if I don't know where I picked up on this hint inside the story. But I mean, I don't know where the body is. I'm fairly certain there was a comment made that they didn't actually get the body, like the family. And so, what? What do you mean?
Did
You
you-
didn't actually bury a body? Like, I don't understand. Like,
You completed the River Ward mission, right?
yes.
Right. Okay. The reason I asked that is
Okay.
because I think I don't remember if it was the choice. It was either the choice of leaving him in the car or the choice of taking him to the Ripper dock. I don't remember which one, but one of those choices, what ends up happening is that Jackie doesn't make it to his family, and instead he gets taken by this other group that ends up using his body for. I don't know if they're using it for science, but they use him for something very sketch.
Oh.
And you discover the fate of Jackie's body, I think, during the River Ward quest.
Oh.
You find out. So, yeah, I don't know if that was the case for you, because I don't remember.
No.
Maybe it was the Ripper Dock where that happens, but, yeah, it is possible that Jackie never makes it to his family, depending on your decision.
Oh my God.
And for someone who's not very fond of religious or spirituality, Misty is the cutest. I love her. How she interacted with in the garage and just how timid she is, but not at all. Oh, she's so. Oh, if I had romance with Pan Am, I would have. You can't. Okay, you can't romance.
Yeah.
If I could.
We'll add that to the list.
We're adding that to the list. We're going to be talking about. Kathleen made a mention, which I think is great for us to talk about romances in story that we wish were there or wish were canon but are not. But we'll get to that. So a lot of no, I love Misty. I like her energy. Her energy and her personality is great.
Strangely, I might be. No, I'll talk about it. But strangely enough, Misty sort of represents a bit of that spirituality, the inner spirituality, which is sort of anti-David. So
I'm a huge hypocrite. So there you go, guys.
I was gonna say, cause like
she's pretty, boobs and stuff, you know.
I was gonna say, David, like in Dragon Age Inquisition, you're all about Cassandra, and Cassandra's she's like the maker this and the maker that. So I mean, I'm just saying,
love conquers all.
Yes. So cool. So moving away from the friend, since I mentioned him, the River Ward mission with Peter Pan, the Peter Pan mission.
So I was trying to marathon Hark's LP last night until 4:30 in the morning because I was like, I just got to get through the river stuff. I was like, good Lord. It was like episode 56, 60 something. I was like, oh God, I didn't expect to like be doing this for 5 hours. But it's I wanted to know how he kind of got through it. And I mean, you touched something in your LP, which was immediately the thing that. So in mine, after version 2 point something, when you're in the car and that mission kicks off, there's a video that pops up and it gives you the context of the Peter Pan thing. There's a news broadcast. So I didn't hear any of that audio. It's broken in the update. So I'm like, what am I doing here, River? What's the context? And then he said Peter Pan at the end. I was like, wait, what's a Peter Pan? What's this guy's called he's a serial. What is? And my head went right to the story. Right, I went because I whole narrative thing and like I like whole subtextual kind of components in storytelling. And I was like, wait, if we're talking about Peter Pan, I mean, we're talking about sleeping boys, we're talking about taking them to the world. There's like a whole death versus dreaming kind of weird layering thing that, you know, what's the actual difference between dying and dreaming? Well, it depends on your perspective, and it depends on, so there's all this other stuff that goes into what that Peter Pan and the Lost Boys represent. So I kind of went into the story with the subtextual concept of like what the storytelling was trying to do, but then I had to learn things as I went. So I didn't much have the context of like what actually happened to the boys until I got into the facility. I started reading the emails, and I was like, okay, so this does have to do with induced like sleeping, and there's some sort of hormone thing, and so he's keeping them asleep. So this guy's, but then didn't he die? I'm like, but I saw a video of a car thing, and like, didn't they shoot him? And then you read the email where there's like a shot in the head, but I guess he's in a coma. I was like, wait, is that Peter Pan? So there's a bit of confusion going through it, which was fine because it made it more disturbing as those things unlocked along the way. You get into the BD and you kind of see the scene. There's a cafeteria scene, of course, like that's where you're like, okay, something's not right here. Now, if you stop the BD on your way out of the cafeteria into the hallway before you have that moment, and then the dude turns into a cow, there's a kid sitting at the table that has the cow mask on. And that's something you kind of get in your peripheral. But if you slow it down, you can kind of see that there's already, like, this already doesn't make sense. You know, there's already kind of a rewriting of the memory that this Andrew character, is that the guy's name? That Andrew's going through as a child in this orphanage where he's already rewriting his memory. So then you kind of have to bring up, like, is he already, are his dreams, like his pain, is that influencing his memories to the point where even this BD is capturing a rewrite of his own history and interpretation of the events that happened to him because maybe he was abused? Hark, you pointed something out I didn't even catch. It was the silhouette behind the curtain where there might have been like was there a woman behind? I was like, I didn't even see that shit. Was it my graphics were so high I saw just mist and smoke? Where Hark is like, you see a figure, it's like, wait, was she the cow at the end of the day? Because he says, like, the father says, heal her or do something to her, and I was like, her the cow? Or well, I mean, is it the silhouette? Are you doing, because there was a bed back there, you know? And so was there a person back there that this guy was already doing something to the wife? There's so much ambiguous stuff here that you have to put together about it, and so screwed up because, like you said, this guy grows up and becomes who he becomes. And so it's like, really, do you have, like, do you kind of still take this guy out? Maybe you would, like, he was trying to chase him down and he would do, you know, he definitely encouraged River, like, if he wants to go the next step, just tell him, like, he doesn't even need money, you know, just tell him where the hospital's at, like, he'll end this, you know? So yeah, I'll leave the rest of it out because I want to kind of hear your perspectives about things. And then maybe something else discussion will happen after that.
All in all, I just thought it was a really cool detective story and a really good way to build up River's character. There was the detective thing and the Peter Pan thing. That was kind of secondary for me. I wanted to know about how he reacted and what kind of person he was. Because when I first saw him in the cafeteria, I was like, okay, grunt number 54, badass dude. But the more I got on these quests with him in the morgue and stuff, he's a super sympathetic person, kind, empathic, patient. Yeah, he's not like, I'm gonna be cool and abrasive and alpha male. He's like, oh, and he looks really good as well. Like, some people have everything.
I didn't notice that at all.
No.
I didn't notice that at all.
Oh, I saw this guy, and when he started being kind, I'm like, oh, Hawk is going to be all over this guy. Clean shaven, strong jawline.
That's why I stayed up till 4 in the morning.
David knows my type.
Yeah.
David knows exactly my type.
Even I was a bit, oh, well, maybe I should yes, try one.
I got tempted on that scene. Are you kidding? It's like, shit, is he bi? I'll watch Harks.
Well, you know. No.
To be fair, I was thinking the same thing with Pan Am, to be fair. I was like, oh, man, maybe I should try. Like, yeah, it was the same way.
I mean, we both like butts, so... Anyway, yeah, jeez. Sorry. Anyway,
am I right?
But I did enjoy the quest as well. I felt for my second playthrough, like, you guys have played twice, right? I was this hacker guy, and it felt really nice to use your hacking skills, and it felt like very much like Cyberpunk. Like, okay, I'm a real detective in a Cyberpunk world. It was cool. and of course it was atrocious. The crime, the how insane the beaties were, how his mind twisted the shapes. That's how I saw it, at least. How his mind twisted the shapes in the beaties, and get to explore all that. And you get to see River's journey from confident to focused to almost panicked. Like this was a really good backdrop for his background and romance. If you're a female, straight female. So yeah, that's my thought of it.
Really quick to point out, just in case like it triggers like Kathleen to talk about it, and you Hark, because I almost thought you missed it, but there's the moment where you're talking to him on the outside of the house, and you ask about his past. Like there's and so when you get his history, it even adds a bit more context to what he just experienced through. It wasn't just about his family and getting his nephew back, but it was what he went through as a kid, and he came out the way he came out. Whereas Andrew experienced what he came out, experienced what he did as a kid, and he came out on the opposite spectrum,
in a different way,
And so this, it only hit me now. Yeah.
Oh wow, I did not realize that. Did you have things to talk about for this, Kathleen?
Yeah, definitely do. I'm gonna surprise you guys with this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I cheated on Judy with him.
Oh my
sadly.
God.
Oh. What?
Speaking
of
yeah.
Wow! Did not see that one coming.
Wait. So did
I know. So it's funny. I only date girls in real life, but like when it comes to narrative, my characters are always whores, because I just like to see. I like to see where the story goes. Like
oh
my God. Yeah. So
you do River too.
Yeah. And what was so hilarious I loved everything about it. And I was playing the mission and just loving how they develop his character and this buddy cop like story. I really love these detective buddy cop stories. I mean, that's why I'm actually replaying Detroit right now, because that was my favorite part about Detroit.
I love
and I felt like my V was like falling hard for him as the story was going, and I just really liked how the romance was panning out. So I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna like check this out and see how it works out." And I think it's absolutely adorable, beautiful romance. But the best thing about it is that after the morning after, Johnny's like, "I can't believe you made me sleep with a cop. I'm gonna vomit."
That's the thing.
Not even like I had sex with a dude. That's He's like, funny. I can't believe you made me have sex with a cop. I tried to romance as many people as possible, but those only Rivers and Judy were available to me for some reason. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The mission was very triggering for me. I think once you actually got into the barn and you saw the teenager there hooked up like cattle, like that was very I was playing it late at night, and so I was like, I'm gonna get nightmares from this. Like this is very creepy, especially with the BD where the one teenage boy escapes and he's like literally like trying to crawl away, and it just couldn't make it. I was just like, it was so horrific, and I did like a lot of the details through his mission, like the cartoon, for example, because in any other context, cartoons are supposed to be fun and whimsical and like innocent, but just the way that it was introduced in this context just made it so creepy and so eerie, and I love the little twists that they do. And just the reference to Peter Pan, for people who may not be aware, a lot of the like Grimm stories, as in the writers' Grimm stories, were very, very dark, and Disney kind of went and Disneyfied a lot of them to make it more palatable for younger audiences. But Peter Pan was not a super kid friendly character when the original concept of Peter Pan came, and he essentially did kind of sort of kidnap kids. Yeah. So Yeah, so I thought that was a really interesting nod.
I have this small recollection. I don't know if it was like because I studied it to some degree, and I can't remember if this is from the story, but I think there was like a subtext on Peter Pan where it was about suicide, and it was about because it's a whole like never growing up. It's always staying a kid forever. You go to Neverland, it's you just never grow up, and it's about escaping the responsibility of becoming an adult, and that's why adults are like the enemies in the Neverland. Like the pirates are all adults, is because they escaped that kind of mold and they just became tainted adults and became pirates. But yeah, it's a lot of that subtext was all in there, and it was just it made it creepier because here's an interpretation that actually pans out. It wasn't just like a nickname that they gave out.
Pans out.
So yeah, but anyways, and even like I'm still thinking about things as you're talking, like the whole thing with the cow and the cartoon, and when I saw that, okay, this is going to be significant. You don't just find this in an email, and like this is like another brainwashing technique that that seems to be throughout this entire game. And here's a mechanism of someone using it to like basically steal these kids away because these kids want to give up on life, or they just don't want to confront the pain of kind of taking on that responsibility, and they get hooked up to these machines, go into basically the Matrix, and at that point it brings up the whole death versus dreaming, which is like, well, if they're dreaming, they're living that life, they're living the life they want to live. They never have to grow up. They will die in that dream, and to them no difference, right? Because you're going to die in your sleep. It's as if that story just ended for them. And and so the cartoon for me is like the farmer, and then his dad was a farmer, smacking the cow, just bringing up the whole mother thing. Like you caught Hark, I didn't, but it's like, was he beating the wife? And that was the interpretation of him smacking the cow, is he's actually smacking he put the wife in the kind of the predicament that then he had to like. So all of these things are just, there's so many layers to think about on that particular mission. Cyberpunk, I mean, this game does these kinds of things so well, where you go into these side missions, and they're side missions, man. These aren't the main plots, but some of these side missions are like, they're the most
so
mind-blowing
good.
storytelling.
They are so good.
Where
yeah,
you just like the people who just
I was
through
more
this game,
excited for the side missions at times. Like,
Yes.
oh, I want to talk to me again. Well, you're just gonna skip this main mission and just because they felt like main missions.
They were solid. They were deep. They were multi-layered, and it's like the people who like I'm reading criticisms about the game. I'm like, did you guys play the same game? Like, I can't wrap my head around some of the negative feedback that comes from the stories. It's like, you guys obviously didn't play the same game. Like, there's all of these other things that there's like 90% of the content that is better than the part you played, which you call the game. Like, good Lord,
it's very well written. But I didn't. Going back to the Peter Pan quest, I never understood the reference between Peter Pan and the quest until now. Like, of course. I don't know why they didn't make the connection at all, but of course it is. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm so dense.
Yeah, I think
Shay's he gets way deep into these.
I love this shit.
These games.
Yeah, I like his perspective. His perspective is very cool. But yeah, I think this game has.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say, I think this game has like the best side quests I think I've ever experienced in a game. I don't know.
Yeah,
easily.
It's probably definitely up there. Yeah. It's definitely up there.
It's up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think we can move on since again, I think Shay mentioned this person. Let's talk about the Delamain quests. So, trying to find all of the different Delamain cabs, every single one of them was super unique. I was laughing out loud so hard. I don't know how many of you guys played Portal.
So good.
Yeah.
But as soon as the GLaDOS Delamain or the Gladys one came, I was like, dear Lord, this is amazing.
Someone on CD Projekt Red had a phone call with Valve and said,
"Had to. The lines are directly from the game.
Exactly the same. So they must have given them permission to okay, sure, go ahead."
Yeah. And I almost felt like virtually everything that that character said were like exactly word for word what Gladys says in Portal. So it was just like, this is gold. Like, this is so hilarious.
Such a good Easter egg.
It's so long too. It's like just keeps on going. Like, it's so good. Yeah, I love it.
There was the one cab that creeped the
creepy
F
one.
Out of
Holy
me.
shit!
The really creepy, like the one where he has you go into go into the car, and he's like, I don't remember what he says, but I just remember
Want to get
like,
out. Just get out.
No, nope. Like, nope.
Leave the grenade in the seat.
Nope.
Go.
The most frustrating part for me was the car where it couldn't go with like 50 miles per hour or something. Something like I'm gonna kill someone. This is so dumb. Like, stop.
Hopping in the middle of the highway.
God, I can walk faster than this.
Yes, it's amazing. But then, after you collect all of the Delamains, there's this part where I'm assuming everybody saw this part where things go haywire at Delamain HQ, and then you have to make a decision. Do you basically red, green, or blue? Do you want the green decision, the blue decision?
No.
Do you guys remember what decision?
Red, right?
Which one was the red? Well, which one was the red decision for you, David?
Okay, good. No,
yeah. What was your interpretation of red, David? That happened in Act 3 for me
No,
because, of course, the Delamain
release
quests
him-
red, right?
Yeah, I think it released him to the blacknets or the other side. Like,
okay.
I think
So that's the destroy. You're like, that's destroy the machine.
100%.
Yeah, that was mine.
Everyone else is bad.
I wanted to hack them, but my hacking skill was too low.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. I wanted to hack
No,
him,
I
couldn't
just
do it.
had to kill him.
I had decent hacking, so I went synthesis. I did the synthesis.
Right option.
Anyone who played
a master race.
Yeah. And I was very happy about my synthesis.
I think I picked that ending as well, actually. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if they purposely were trying to parallel that to Mass Effect 3. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it was the first thing that popped in my head. I said, "Oh wow, okay, this definitely feels like destroy, control, and synthesis." Like,
it'd been funnier if they had like a little ghost child. That'd been even better.
That would have been really hilarious. Yeah, a little hologram.
There's a lot of references.
Yeah. Cool. So that was Delamain. Moving on to another side quest, another amazing side quest, which was the Perales, the Jefferson and Elizabeth Perales side quest. And I admit I was a little. This is a question where I wasn't really sure.
Me neither.
I was on the fence. I was like, I don't know what to do. What do I decide to do? And so then I decided, well, I'll just ask David what the correct decision was.
The correct decision
what was the correct decision?
Was to tell them the truth about the the plugs. So yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay. So you told the truth. Okay.
Yeah. For context, this couple is being influenced by an outside force. I don't remember. Was it Netwatch agents or a corporation?
I think. I think so. Yeah.
I can't remember. Tricky. Yeah, but I feel like the wife wants me to keep quiet about it, and I have this thing. I don't like living in ignorance and living a lie, because you can't even start to heal if you can't take the first step, however uncomfortable it is.
Kind of like finding
may even be lethal for him. So, yeah. But yeah, I totally told him the truth. Like, things are fucked up. Do your thing. But then again, he's already gone so far. So now he's like super paranoid, and it's depressing. I hope it got its life back together again. But I got paid, so that's fine.
How about XCI and Kathleen? And remember that the resolution of Perales isn't until after Act 3.
Oh, my God!
So we don't want to spoil anything for Shay. Go ahead, Kathleen. Do you have any thoughts on the Perales?
I did the same thing. I'm pretty sure I told them what was going on. Like, it was pretty creepy when you find that. This is the one where you find the hidden room, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were watching them the whole time. Yeah.
That is so creepy. That's like my worst fear. I think that's like everyone's worst fear. Watched. Like, I don't know, just like having a bunch of people watch you in the privacy of your house. I mean, I feel terrified every time I go into an Uber, or not Uber, like a Airbnb. Like that's like a huge fear of mine because I've heard horror stories of people like recording you in Airbnbs. So, like it makes me so uncomfortable. So of course I had to tell them. So
Shay?
Yeah, I think the truth angle as well. My V again. I tried to because I was confused too. I actually rolled back and then I rolled back again. I took my original decision because it's just that they did. I just didn't know how to even interpret what the options were and what because I was still trying to build up. How did this situation happen? Who's behind this? Like I didn't have all the pieces as the character or even as me, but I was like, so I don't know. I'm going to go with the one with like, hey, wouldn't you rather live the truth? Like, wouldn't you like confront what you have to confront? And if it's going to go south, it's going to go south. Like, and then for me is like, what exactly do I have to? What do I owe Elizabeth to like make sure that they stay ignorant? Like, I don't know what's going on here. I just want to get paid too. And yes, this is political, but I don't know who's pulling the strings now. There's this side quest, or it was like a random quest even. I don't even think it was a side quest that you stumble upon and you start reading. You either read the emails or some archived conversation, and it's insinuated that the 6th Street Gang is actually behind. Now I could be wrong here. I might be headcanoning this crap, but the 6th Street Gang was behind the move to manipulate the paralysis so that they would get hired because they were going to bring the right kind of government that the 6th Street Gang believed in. And so because there's a lot of like there's like a there's like a fanatic and paralysis, like that word combined, and it was basically a 6th Street person that was like a devoted paralysis fanatic, and they were kind of pushing. They were a campaign pusher, and they wrote an email to them maybe, and it was just insinuated that there was something else going on here, and that that puppet, the puppeteer was coming from some agreement there. But I could be wrong. I could be headcanon, but there you go.
I don't have much to add without repeating what all of you have said, but I also ended up telling the truth to Jefferson. And yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a very interesting mystery to solve. So yeah, and just the characters like Perales and Elizabeth Jefferson, like I was always wondering, are they for real?
That's right.
Like, or is there something shady going on? Is there something they're not telling me? Because I wanted to like them, but you always are like, I don't know if I can 100% trust them because something's kind of sketchy, and I don't know if it's them or if it's something surrounding them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like probably the biggest thing for me was just I was always
second guessing everything.
Always second guessing.
It's so cool just walking around the apartment and you take up a picture like, you have this nice red dress, and she's like, I don't have a red dress or something similar.
The roses,
like, you have it here, like
right.
all the time. It's this about something's off.
Yeah,
what is happening here?
Yeah, I think that was
fascinating.
I think it was when you first talked to her before you go to the husband. You're in that cafe, and she says that she doesn't even know what she believes anymore. She doesn't know which memories were rewritten. I was like, how do you know that this right now isn't you being manipulated to come here and talk to me, to fuck with me, to like put so that all of that became like, look, I don't want to keep this quiet because that might be the manipulation, and you don't even know you're doing it. So neither of them really know whether they own their identity anymore, and it's like, well, I'm sorry, but you're a puppet at this point. Cut your strings,
Yeah. Since Kathleen voiced that she wanted to discuss this mission, I bumped it up on our list. So, Beast in Me with Claire. Why don't you kick us off then, Kathleen, with Beast in Me?
Well, have you guys finished it?
I'm on the last. I'm going to be kicking off the last race for me.
No, I didn't. Let's just say that I play a mouse and keyboard, and driving a car isn't the most pleasant thing. And when someone said race, I'm like, nope, I'm backing out of this one. But then again, I shouldn't have, because apparently every side quest in this game has something amazing in it. Yeah, it's a story of some sort. But I don't know if I could have played all those races, man. I just want to chop people's head off.
I didn't think it was too hard. Like, I'm usually pretty bad at races, but I didn't have any trouble with the races in this.
You're better than me.
Mouse and keyboard or controller? Were you mouse and keyboard or controller?
I use my PS4 controller on my computer.
Okay, so. That might be why. Because I was also mouse and keyboard, and I hate driving.
Either you do a 90-degree turn, or you don't turn at all, and you have to like compensate all the time. Like, oh, this is this is a controller type kind of thing, isn't
Love
it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't do it.
Feel free to talk about the last race, Kathleen, though, because I know
Yeah,
what
feel free.
decision
It's
I'm going
still
to make,
it's still
so you're
game.
likely
It's
not going to
still
spoil me.
fair game. Yeah.
Okay.
Or whatever you wanted to talk about, Kathleen.
Yeah,
All I know
sure.
is that Claire is really pretty, and she's cool.
A what?
All I know is Claire is really pretty and she's cool. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Claire is really pretty. Okay, good.
I was really interested in this mission because I thought Claire was really cute, and I'm so disappointed that she wasn't a romance option, because she's another character that immediately after I met her, I'm like, oh my god, she's so cute. I love her, like her style and her truck. And then I saw the trans flag on her truck and I was like, yes, like that's awesome. And I was like, either she's an ally or she's a trans character, I'm not sure. And I started tweeting about it, and people said that her actress is played by a trans woman, which is so cool because it's just cool to see trans people played by trans people, because there's a lot of awesome trans actresses and actors and people out there. So, but later, as you go along through the story, you find out more about her former, well, like, I guess her husband died in a race. And their story was so sweet, so amazing. He, I guess, was a friend and was really supportive of her during her transition. And I was really excited that I was like, oh, is this going to be a trans character? I don't know. But she talks openly about her transition and how supportive he was and how they fell in love. And I think that's really amazing, just to see a trans character that is so wonderful and human, but it's also not like exploited, and it's not like the big part of who they are. And I think that's probably why she wasn't romanceable. They didn't want to, because a big, huge problem for trans women is like over sexualizing them. It's a big problem in media, is like the over sexualization of trans women. So I thought that was cool. They didn't necessarily fetishize her, but I think they could have had her as a romance without necessarily fetishizing her. But so I don't know, I really liked her, and I just like badass women with trucks, I guess.
Oh, so you did like Pan Am?
Oh yeah, but I couldn't romance her.
Oh, I did it for you. That's fine.
I did it for you.
I love Pan Am. Are you kidding me? I love her.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about Pan Am 100% because I loved her a lot too. But before we do that, Shay, do you have anything to add about Beast and Me?
I mean, I love racing. I love the racing. When I spent my time in the Badlands, the entire game it was probably, I was out there for 40 to 60 hours. I think I did all the quests all in a row. Whatever was Badland, I stayed there before ever going back into Night City. So I never had, it was a little bit a strange disconnect in the narrative because I never got I left the Aldecados or Pan Am. And then when they called me back, I'm like, I've always been here. What's wrong? I've always been out here. Like, you just dial me up, But yeah, the Claire piece, I love the racing and the fact that I just wanted to race cars, because I was a huge Gran Turismo 2 fanatic. Like 20 years ago, I'm like, all these memories will come back. I'm sure of it. I'm going to wreck these people on the road, And so I had to train in the Badlands because I was like, you got to train in the worst part possible, which is the dirt. You got to learn the controls, So learning that it was kind of like a death racy thing where you had a partner and they could shoot and they could behind you. And I just thought that was so cool. And then it turned into a story.
What? It's a death race?
Yeah.
How did I do? How did I play this? It's so much cooler.
Yeah, run people off the road, drive them into the wall. You take off the
What?
But yeah, I love that it turned into a story, and that's the game really never. Oh man, that's what I loved about. God, what's wrong with people not seeing that? Like every moment in here, even the random things with the archived conversations, everything has a story. You can get into this world as a living, breathing kind of thing, and yeah, when she opened up at the last race, and I didn't catch the trans thing at all until very late, until I read it in her database entry, and I was like, whoa, okay, because I was thinking why isn't she a romanceable character? She should be open, right? And you learn the history, right? The driver, the partner they were already together. By the way, Kat, as far as I got it, they were together as when he was when he was a man, but then when he when he went transgender, he actually transitioned with that partner already, and the partner kind of encouraged her to then go full transition, and that kind of like, that was so cool that the relationship was through the entire, like, there was no kind of boundary. And like, that's kind of my favorite kind of way of approaching all of this kind of sexuality and relationship stuff, right? It's like, because it always comes down to identity. It's like, what's the person at the core, you know, and what are you actually like connecting with? And I loved hearing that, and it was just such a small scene, but then I was like, now I would have romanced you even more. Like, just like you need, like, I'd be your driver, you know, Claire. So there's always a character in these games where I'm like, I have this like this fanfic kicks off where I was like, I could just do stories with like these two people on the road, like just taking like trips and stuff like that, and like taking like challenges like across the states, you know. And I don't know, I just thought it was like a buddy com, but at the same time I was like, no, she's kind of cool, man. I'd roll with her as B. So
yeah. And the cyberpunk world in general is pretty bleak and horrible, but transitioning in a cyberpunk world is probably not very difficult. As difficult about hormones and stuff. Like body modification is like a very big thing in cyberpunk. So
there's an email where this plastic surgeon, it was the bartender, I think. There's an act, I just did it in Act 3, but the bartender of the of Mama Wells's bar, he ends up putting you on a mission where he wants to see if his wife is cheating, and then because they had a baby that was a different color or different hair, different eyes, and it's like, so you dig into this, and it's actually she's going to a Ripper doc because she's getting modifications and stuff, and you find out this Ripper doc is like, if you read his email, he's like transitioning people's races and stuff like that. Like, it's like it just didn't, there's no boundaries. It's like he's changing someone into an African American. He's doing right. It's like, it doesn't matter. You can change your skin, you can change everything, your vocal cords. And so she had all of herself done. And so she's a completely different person, which goes, that's what I love about this whole identity topic. It's like, you've changed everything on the outside. Are you the same person anymore? It's like, if you get a hole in a sock, you patch it up, it gets a hole, you patch it up, right? When does it stop becoming the original sock? Because you still love it like the original sock. And that's a huge like thought experiment in philosophy. And it kind of transfers into this idea, right? Yeah.
The ship.
There's a ship. That's right. It's based on the ship piece. And it's like, oh man. So just kind of understanding that context to this world also changes the entire idea behind this. Is why the whole cyberpunk and this dystopian idea of like what the genre is like the transhuman element of the cyberpunk genre is like, just remove everything you believe about who you can be and who you are and identity and all those kind of boundaries. They're gone in this kind of world. You can literally be whatever you want because the technology has allowed you to become that. So you can choose to be Asian. You can choose, you know, it's crazy to think about things like that. So there's a boundary there. You know what I mean?
That's why trans people are sorry.
No,
I think that's why trans people are so attracted to like the cyberpunk aesthetic, and why, I mean, like The Matrix was made by two trans women. And a lot of people think of it as like an allegory for the trans experience. And, you know, it's kind of interesting, I think, like as a queer person, just to see those parallels of like the ease of being able to make your body what you know it is. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think I might have actually missed that quest, Shay, about being able to transition into different races. Because I think that actually poses a really interesting point, because right now in our modern day world, there's a lot of back and forth and controversy about transgenders and people, you know, who, you know, claim, I believe that they do, that they identified as a woman when they were born a man, or vice versa. So what happens then if years and years and years down the line, somebody suddenly says, you know, I may have been born white, but I really feel like I'm black. Or I may have been born black, but I really feel like I'm white. And I want to transition into a white person. How many people are going to get offended by that? And, you know...
The thing, though, but I think that's a false... I have to say, though, that's kind of a false equivalency. I know how people could make those parallels, but when you look at the science when it comes to trans issues, the people that are transgender often suffer with body dysmorphia, and it's a really debilitating condition. Whereas I don't see any research or science that backs up that people have the same symptoms when it comes to problems with race or age. So Yeah, I mean, it's a different question entirely. So I wouldn't
is, yeah.
equate those two things.
Yeah,
fair enough.
There's a different philosophy definitely behind all of that. Like there's components to this, right? When it comes to identity, and when you're talking about, like, let's say someone has their great grandfather was from Africa, like my case. Like it's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm black, right? So it's like, or if not black, because I don't know, we don't know who the guy was. I think he was a gypsy. So it's one of these, like, but from Morocco, right? So it's like, well, does that make me, you know what I mean? Like so. But what if I did grow up and I got that context from growing up in Portugal or something like that, where I felt like I did identify more with the gypsy culture and the Romanis and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of want to dig into that kind of person, you know, and I want to, and maybe I started living with them. Maybe I became an Aldecado, right, in real life. So it's like, at one point I got to go, well, how much can I change about myself to become more like them so that I feel like I'm integrated? I mean, if you take it to fantasy, if you're a half elf, like can you become a full elf? Like, can you do something in Cyberpunk where you're an elf that becomes a half elf that becomes a full elf? Like, can you remove part of your heritage? Like, there's all these other questions that come down to, why would you do that? Like, are you deconstructing your own identity to become something that you're now manipulating for your own needs? Is it because then you bring up mental health, right? What part of this, like, if it's not a physical thing or like that discomfort, yeah, but what if there's like a mental discomfort? What if you're depressed all the time? What if you're anxious all the time because you feel like you don't really fit in with the culture that you're a part of? So in this world, you can just bury it. You can just literally it really does touch. I love this game for the philosophy elements of all of it, because, man, it's so deep with when you get to the foundational arguments behind what a race even is, right? I mean, well, we're humans. Like, there's no, so when you're talking about, well, everything you apply to that is a social construct as well, like how we stereotype different people from different countries. Well, and that's all a social archetype as well. Like, when you start breaking all that down, is, I don't know, I think in this world is like, it's it eventually gets done so much that then it just becomes normalized, and then being whatever you want is normalized. And so what's the next kind of, where do you go from there, you know? I think that's the great part of this dystopian kind of genre too, is that you get to a point where it's like, well, where do you go? Like, there's so much crime and stuff around, but it's like, you never in this game find out that it has anything to do with race, with religion, with all of these other elements of what makes up a persona. And it's all for other things. It's all for whether it's money or whether it's like, it changes how the human kind of, I don't know, de-evolves. Like, you always find different reasons to hate people, and it's like, well, how do you find reasons to love people? Like, so it's I love the irony of this genre, you know.
Going back to The Beast in Me and Claire more specifically, I have to say I really liked Claire at the beginning, and I actually liked her a lot through most of the entire, like, quest line until we got to the final mission. And that's when I got so upset and frustrated with her. And the reason,
I loved it. It was a very Deadpool moment.
Oh my god.
The reason was not because of her specifically. It was more because of the writers. And this is the reason. This is how I'm going to explain it. So there's a point, and I'm apologizing to Shay that this is probably going to spoil things.
I know what I'm going to do.
In the final race, she tells, well, not even the final race. Like, we actually talk about her, discuss it a little bit during the final race, I think. She was telling V that she was not really, her goal was not to win the final race. Her goal was to kill the person who ended up killing her husband, or her significant other. And so she was like, whatever you do, this is what I want to do. I want to kill this person. I don't care about winning this race. And she asked me, are you okay with this or whatever? And I told her that, to be very honest, like, I'm not okay with it, honestly, because with V, V has like a code. He's not a perfect person, and I will also be the first to say that he can be hypocritical at times too. So, but in his head, he feels like he has a code, and there's certain things he will and will not do. And for him, yes, he definitely kills people. He certainly kills people, but to him, it matters. The reason behind the killing is what matters. Like, if you're killing because you're trying to prevent that person from hurting someone else later, that's one thing. But if you're killing just because of vengeance, if it's purely only about vengeance, then he's not as, like, gung-ho about that. And so he basically told Claire, I'm not going to promise you that I'll help you kill this person. All I'm going to promise is I'm going to do my best is to win the race. And at the time, Claire was like, okay, I get it. I understand, just thinking about what I said. And she seemed like she at least understood where we were both coming from. And then during the actual race, when I specifically was trying to win the race, because there's a point where she says, wait, slow down, I need to kill this person. And I says, nope, I'm moving forward. She's like, what the F, V? I'm supposed to kill this person. What? Like, as if we never had that conversation. Like, we never had. She just selectively forgot that I told her up front. I was very, very communicating, very transparent. I'm not down with this. And, with pushing up to shove, I'm not promising I'm going to help you. But she was like, what the F, V? Like, she was so mad and crazy with me. And so that was what really, got me so frustrated. I was like, did you not, hear what I told you? Why are you acting like this is new to you? What, are you really this surprised? So it was more of the writers, I think, and the developers who just failed in that consistency that kind of soured the end of the quest line for me. I don't know if you ended up going through. I'm assuming you just went through with helping her with her goal, Kathleen. Yeah. So that never became an issue for you. But because of the choice that I made, it does come. It was so inconsistent. A little bit of
an issue actually later on.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
Can I say?
Okay.
Can I say what happened?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I followed him, and we run him over, and he's in his car, and he's crying, and he's like, I really didn't mean to. It's it wasn't my fault that he died. It was an accident, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, shit, I don't feel good about this now. I don't want to shoot him in the head. So I tried to talk her out of it, and she's like, fuck you, and just shot him. It's a very Deadpool moment.
Wow.
And then after that, I was like, I kind of respect you more for just doing it.
The street kid blood came out.
Yeah.
Reminding me who I am.
It's like, you gotta, she's a ride or die bitch, I like it.
In these death races, it's in the name. People die, I guess. They can die. They can die. So a person died. I think this undermines the whole thing.
Yeah.
I killed someone. Now I'm okay to just go around and kill people who killed my person I loved in this race. If you are killed with a person, do it outside the race. Don't do it in the race.
Right.
Because
it's a little
law and order.
It's in the race, so
okay.
They kind of talk about that they talk about that they had a personal feud before the races, and that this guy basically took advantage of the race to, I guess, floor on the brakes when he would have gotten first place, I think, because he just wanted to create the accident to then potentially take them out but he didn't have to. He was going to win the race. I think that's what I recall. And so it really is great, even when she's like, would you stick with me to do this? It's like, you weren't really convincing, Claire. I kind of you're not really sure, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to trust you on this, but you might be wrong here. So it's I got a headcanon. I'm shooting the guy. I already know what I'm gonna do. So
there you go. There you go.
I'm to be it all the way.
Awesome. I like the conviction. Sweet.
Gotta trust your family. Gotta trust your family.
Yeah. I love how different all RVs are. This is great. This is super, super cool. Cool. I think that the one mission that has been on many people's minds, not just ours, and have a lot of feelings and a lot of things to say about it and a lot of reactions to it, is the infamous Sinnerman quest. So
David flips the table.
I will.
F that quest.
Let's do this before we actually start talking about our opinions. I think this is a very valid thing to let the viewers know. Is where are we each individually when it comes to spiritual, atheism, religious, non-religious, agnostic, whatever? Where do we fall under in that spectrum? And because I think the four of us are very diverse in that spectrum, and I think that should pose to a very interesting conversation. So why don't we actually start with Kathleen? Can you, whatever you're willing to divulge, Kathleen?
Yeah, sure. I was deeply spiritual throughout my life. I grew up in a very spiritual family, and I was training to become a minister, even went to Bible college my first year. And I had to leave that college once I realized I was gay. So that kind of fell apart for a while. And I've had kind of a tumultuous relationship with like my family and religious people in general, because I get regular emails that claim that people know what my spiritual walk is, but they don't really know what it is. Like they assume that I'm going to hell, or that I don't have any spiritual beliefs. I would say, in terms of like what my spirituality is, I don't entirely know, but I don't like the idea of people telling me that I should exactly have the same opinions as them. And I guess I just steer away from organized religion, because I think that it's just been too hard for me to return to that. It's like, why would I return to something that caused me so much pain? So yeah, that's kind of
That's
what
you.
my thoughts are.
Okay.
Yeah.
David, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I'm agnostic. If you want to say atheist, go ahead, but it's agnostic. So I don't believe. At least I don't think we have found proof enough for me to believe. That's the more correct
And
way.
and if you don't mind me saying, David, I think you mentioned before we recorded that at least culturally, Sweden is predominantly the same way. Is that
Yeah,
true assessment? Okay.
we're mostly atheist agnostic.
Got it. How about you, Shay?
Yeah, for me, it's I'm Portuguese, so it's culturally Catholic. Most of the country's Catholic, raised Catholic, etc., etc. But I definitely had a bit of a falling out with organized religion in particular. Not necessarily the faith behind it, not necessarily the faith believers, but it's the I got deeply into philosophy through my schooling, just as a child, even just asking questions a lot about identity, actually, and just what it is to be, and that a lot of that got further kind of pushed through university. And I spent the last 20 years just reading about all this kind of stuff. So one of my mentors, my old art teacher, actually, he's deeply religious. We still go out for coffees 30 years later. So it's a matter of we can talk very evenly planed with in terms of just what things are. He never has to bring up his religion. I never have to bring up my beliefs, but we're very much in sync in terms of a spiritual kind of identity, and mine is very much philosophical. So I would say agnostic, but with philosophical, like a spiritual philosophical core. So I really enjoy reading about just the philosophy of faith itself and conviction, which is going to be important for what we'll talk about.
And then finally, for myself, so as a Filipino in the Philippines, we predominantly, as a culture, are Catholic, Roman Catholic, and I've pretty much would like to say that I've maintained remained a religious person this entire time, despite my sexuality, because there's a lot of debate, I know, for example, in the Catholic Church about that, which is why I really love our Pope right now. But I guess just in terms of me, even though I do consider myself religious, I'd like to believe that I am very open to other people's beliefs systems in the entire gamut. It's very hard for you to offend me about religion as long as you're respectful about it. I think that's really the key thing, and that your conversation with me is well intentioned. Because I never try to push my beliefs on other people. I'm married to my husband is atheist, and that's something that we've been able to work through. So I don't push my beliefs on other people. I'm not the kind of person who goes around changing people's mind. All I care is that you're a good person, and if religion helps you with that, if religion helps you be happy, if it helps you be at peace with yourself and everything that's going on around you, great. If you don't need religion to do that, but you're still a good person, great. That's all I care. So for me, it does make me happy, and it does help me be a good person, I think, and it does help me be at peace with myself in many ways. So, and that's why I do it. And I don't expect it to be a one size fits all. You know, it works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for Kathleen, or it doesn't necessarily work for David. So that's my view on religion. So now that we've gotten all that off the table, let's talk about this quest. And I feel like, should we just let David loose? Should we just let him go, or should we save him for the
rile
end?
him up with all the triggering language about our perspectives first?
How dare you have different opinions than me? No. Okay, I can stop.
Yeah,
Sure.
please do.
Yeah. So I need some background for this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rant a bit about religion before we get to the Cinnamon Quest. We all know what the Cinnamon Quest is all about. You know, this man who have found God and want to crucify himself on live TV or BD, so people can experience his, his faith. So, as an agnostic, I find faith in general very strange, frustrating, delusional, and for me, religion in general is not a good thing. It's based on like fundamental pillars that I don't or can't agree on. For me, it's like science, facts, proof, belief, and faith. If I need to add those things in my life to make sense, I think I'm doing myself a disservice. Just because I can't explain anything or make enough about the universe or life, whatever, doesn't mean I should just go with like a God did it. For me, there's no way to know, and it's kind of scary sometimes with people believing that, and it feels like very foreign to me, even though I try to connect with them. When they start to talk religion, it's very, very tough for me to understand, even though I'm trying. I'm getting to a point here of the Cinnamon Quest. Don't worry.
No, you're good. You're good.
So for me, a secular government with strict laws and programs can do anything that the Church of the Church can do, without depending on the churches. And feeling that the church is a moral compass of some sort is just a lie for me. Of course, we all read the Bible, right? Or one version of it. And I don't really see exemplars of morality and hope. It's more like tyrants and corrupt morals, and it's a mess. I believe. So, I also know the Bible's not there to be taken literally. It's there to be symbolic or allegorical. Although people like to pick and choose. Anyway, I have all these feelings. I'm gonna skip a bit. I have all these feelings, and this quest like triggered every one of them, because it feels for me. It was horrific. Really, it was like you help this corporation exploit a repentant but deeply disillusioned man by recording his live crucifixion and thus spreading his word, which are things I don't like. And afterwards they say like, "Oh, this is gonna be great," and I'm like, don't show this for anyone. This is horrible. I got chills just thinking about it. Like, how could? And I hear, I saw your reaction to this, Hark, and I talked about this a little bit with you, and you said that some of your of your religious friends, maybe, I'm not sure what it was, felt that it was not as intense as it was for me. This crucifixion thing, because I hardly could watch it. It's like torture for me, because you have something culturally like this means something for you guys, and again, it's just all these signals like this is wrong, run away, escape. It's all those things that are flashing in this quest. From when I first started meeting him, when he started talking, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a nice religious quest, and then again, the disillusion just keeps getting worse and worse. And at the end, I was just like, "What is this? This is insanity. What is happening right now?" as someone who is not connected to this at all, who just want to believe in science, facts, proof, and this guy just crucifying himself because he wants to show the world religion, which I think is a bad thing. So that's why. Oh, I got through this. I got through this pretty well. Therefore, I think it was a tough. Okay. Oh, you want more Hark? Okay, sure.
No, I said you haven't. I was shaking my head because I said, David, you haven't offended me yet. You should try harder. Try harder.
Okay. No, I think it's just weird. Let's say that. If as an ending to this rant, if religion had no place in a fair, it has no place in a fair and just society, I think. And I think that would have applied in Cyberpunk as well. Like, we're so advanced now. Why is it even a thing anymore? But yeah, it's fine. I still have friends that are religious. I'm not angry with them. I just can't understand. And it frustrates me. And I place these symbols on them like insanity is the worst one. It's disillusion, frustration. I don't think it's the way forward. And this quest just triggered everything in me, which I have. Yeah. I think I've done. Let's go talk around in circles and talk about things that not even related to this quest. So, yeah, what the fuck? End.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
No,
Thank
I appreciate your honesty. I wanted you to be.
I feel like
raw and honest.
what the fuck is a good way to describe this entire quest.
Yeah. Do you want to go next, Kathleen?
Yes, I would.
Dive in.
I'm very passionate about. I actually specifically asked to talk about this quest, so it's interesting. There's many ways you can go about it. It seems like we kind of had the same start to this quest. You get hired to kill this guy, like an assassination, but it doesn't really make any sense and it seems very iffy. So that's why I kind of went in with it like, okay, I'm gonna try to investigate and see what's going on. So you're supposed to assassinate this Joshua guy, but the person that wants you to assassinate them just runs forward and gets himself killed. And as soon as this guy Joshua opened his mouth, I was like, oh, I'm so interested. And so was Johnny. He's like, you better go with this guy and figure out what the hell is going on because this is so intriguing. And so I was like, well, I would not get in a stranger's car that's obviously a convict in real life, but this is a video game. So, and I was just really intrigued by his story. The voice actor is someone that carries himself and speaks in such an eloquent way, which is not what you would expect from someone who has so many tattoos and has obviously done horrible things. So I was just intrigued by his voice and his story, and I wanted to learn more about this character. And I could tell right off the bat that this was a man that really deeply wanted to change and wanted to have some type of positive thing come out of his really fucked up life. And he clearly also, to me, like, there's two things that really stuck out to me. This man really wants to redeem himself, but also that he is clearly mentally unstable. Like, he talks about how he killed his victims in the past and how he just wanted them to stop talking, which to me seems very similar to a family member of mine that has paranoid schizophrenia. So I could tell that this man, he had some mental issues that have probably contributed to his crimes and are going very untreated. And then he takes you to the woman who was related, or the sister of one of the men he killed. And I was really moved by the fact that she forgave this guy. I wouldn't have done it, and I don't think anyone should, but I was amazed by her power of forgiveness for sure. And I feel like that character was the only character in the entire story that was somewhat sound-minded and also very good-hearted. Like everyone else was just trying to exploit this man with clearly severe issues, and someone that, and of course this corporation comes in and wants to take advantage of his mental state, and I think they really fed him a lot of these delusional points that he was going for. So when it gets to the end, the way that I talked to him was like someone that was concerned for him and that realized like, oh shit, like he's making a terrible mistake. And the way he talked to my character at the end was like just like him saying, you know what, I can't do anything else. Like I've already gone this far, like I have to do it. And I realized that, you know, I think he had the death penalty anyways. So it was almost his way of like taking control over that too. Like trying to make his death really feel like he's redeeming himself in a way. Like it was like a symbolic gesture for him. So after I played this quest, I just felt like so amazingly disturbed that, you know, because I feel like it was such a strong commentary on how religion gets corporatized, like capitalism just takes over religion and exploits vulnerable people. And that's what I took from it. I thought it was a very powerful and heartbreaking message. So yeah, that's just my thoughts.
That's so cool that you really thought this through, like why you didn't. For me, it was like raw emotion, like what is happening, like this is insanity. While you like structured it very well.
Thank you. I think it's just from my own experiences too. Like I have met people like that. Like when I was very spiritual, I met people who, like him, that were trying to, you know, kind of cling to a sense of like redemption. And sometimes it works out, but then other times I feel like those people get exploited because of their problems. So yeah. So I felt like that's something that I could relate to. And yeah, I just felt heartbroken after this quest. I just felt utterly heartbroken, you know. So
Shay,
yeah.
how about you? The one that I'm the most curious about, because Shay was a question mark for me. I wasn't really. The way that David and Kathleen reacted are about what I kind of imagined, so I have no idea what Shay's going to say.
Well, I had no idea how I would react going into this one. I was aware that I needed to pay attention to when this quest popped up because Hark told me that people were going to talk about it. So that was my big grind through Act 2 was I got to find this quest. I didn't even know how to kick it off, right? Then I saw the name Cinder Man. I was like, oh, Sinner Man. Okay, the Sinning Man. Okay, so I was like, okay, that's got to be the one. So I'll just keep it bookmarked. Now, my V is a character who is perfectly content with cleansing the tainted pools of the gene pool that's out there that's corrupting people in the city. And in general, he's like, if you're, you know, and there's some irony there, of course, with all RVs, right? Where you go out there and you kind of do similar things. You do it for money, you do it, but right. So there's a weird dichotomy there, but for him, it's like, he's got to be the person though, that cleanses the pool. And so this guy for him was a target, and there was I went in there to kill the guy. Like that was the job, you know? And the thing is like, I started playing with a sniper rifle a lot. So for me, it's like, it's very easy to zoom in, get a headshot. Right. And something, I think it was what Kathleen said, like the guy started running up and I was like, what the fuck? Wait, whoa, I can take him out from like right here though. Right. And then I started panicking for the guy, and I ran ahead of the guy because I was like, let me just, I'll just start swinging, because there was a cop in there. I was like, is this going to trigger like the cops to come after us? So I actually lucked out that by the time they killed the dude, I had no idea why everything stopped. I looked behind me and the guy was dead on the floor, and I was like, okay, wait. So everything froze me. So it kind of disrupted me just in that it was instant though. And like, I really, generally I'm in control of a flow, you know, but this one was like, okay, wait, is there something going on here? Like something else going on here? And then it was that first talk, right? And you're like, okay, I think the game is going to pull a fast one here, or it's going to do something, or it's going to go somewhere. So get in the car. Okay, let's get in the car. And I think it's the, I went in, I think it's weird because I went in like a David, but I might have maybe started going through it like a Kathleen. I don't know if I came out of it like a Hark. This is like something happened where I was stuck in this flow and I was so confused the entire time. And I did all of these back to back because I just needed to know like where this was going, because I was convinced this guy was just crazy. This guy was insane. This guy was pulling the wool over people's eyes. he was trying to push a message, but not necessarily because he believed it, but because he had this way of kind of his last manipulation. And I was like, yeah, but that's kind of what the whole religion thing is. Not to say it in a negative light, but brainwashing is like not in a negative light, but it's sort of faith depends on a little bit of that. And so then that got me into a headspace of, is this guy screwing with me? Am I going to get screwed? Are other people going to get screwed? Is this guy out for one last mass murder? Or so I was in disbelief the entire time. But this guy's conviction was so unwavering, and that he met that lady, and I mean, the mom was pissed, but the lady did forgive him. And I was like, okay, this is a lady of like pure faith. Like this is like as faithful as you can be, where you can accept something like what this guy has done. And the entire time I'm like, I'm ready to kill this guy. As soon as he just slips once, you know. And then you go to the diner and you have more talks, more conviction, and you talk with Johnny. And my talk with Johnny, I think, was the one where I was like, okay, hold on. Let me switch my perspective on this. And then, you know, like my personal kind of philosophical spirituality started to like inform how I was listening to the scene. So my state of listening completely altered. And it was, I forget what Johnny said or how he said it, but he talked a little bit more about almost the revolution of what this man was doing. And I was like, Jesus, no, there's something here where from a recording the BD and like going through what he's going to go through, he wants to get crucified. He wants this to go to the masses. That's as rebellious as it can be. Now there was also a comment with the lady about him thinking that this was he was basically going to be a Jesus figure for this new world. I was like, there's a lot of insane thoughts here, but here's the thing: that's kind of the Bible. Like it has not the Bible, but like the faith itself comes up with a lot of these things, these stories that they do mean more than what the story actually is. It's the interpretation of the story. It's the belief that comes from the lessons learned in the story. And so Sinner Man going through this quest and getting the BD done, like he knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to reach a mass audience, and the only way he can do it is he has to take advantage of another brainwashing faction of this world, which is the corporations. It's the government. So this Night City, the entire cyberpunk universe, it's all about, like, decades later, no one really has their own life anymore. No one's identity is pure anymore. Everyone is just being fueled and fed by this massive machine. And so you don't have your life, and you don't have your death. Like even death is questionable in this kind of world, right? You can extend your life, you can copy yourself, you can duplicate yourself into different minds. And there's so much going on here where what this guy stood for at that moment for my V, and my V wasn't going to be a very religious character, but you know, he had an encounter with those monks, you know, and that kind of triggered a potential RP arc for my V. But then it led to this one, and I was like, okay, well, let me go through this, because I was going to cancel. I was just going to, you know, I just wanted him dead. So it's like, if you want to kill yourself, kill yourself. Like that was my mission anyways, you know. But then it got to the BD, and I got roped in. V got roped into being the person in the BD with him. And I was like, I don't want to do any of this, because then I got uncomfortable. Like as a player, I was like, I don't know where this is going, but like CD Projekt, like they're taking this all the way. They're not gonna put on the brakes here. And then as the player kind of RPing, I was like, let's see where this goes. I'm gonna make this a pivotal moment for my V character where it's not necessarily the Catholic angle that all of it kind of led to, but just the idea of conviction and truth, and how do you create that new truth, and how do you disrupt people from just being sheep. And that's kind of the Johnny thing. I felt like at that point in the story, Johnny was influencing V in the sense of, how do you just change the routine, you know? And it's I like the idea of like reverting back to a world where your belief was more important than the stuff that you were fed by these other funnels, these media funnels. And so I went through the crucifixion, and I came out of it going, this was meaningful from it's almost like I call it like a sort of a counter brainwash, you know, like this guy stood for, even if he was insane, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because the message and the purpose that he was after was to bring faith back to the people. Even if he wasn't saying it wasn't actually at faith, he was just kind of brainwashed in the prison or whatever, and he came out just thinking all this. He never wavered, though. And the whole thing with the word, and funny comment you meant when you mentioned, Kathleen, like he killed people, he just didn't want them to talk. It was like, oh, the word, like the word of God, like the word of the truth, right? And it's like there's some irony there and some parallelism that was really fascinating to me. So getting through that one was it altered my V character for sure, from the perspective of maybe we've reached a point where we have to go backwards again. We have to go back to maybe truth being our new kind of way forward. And whatever that truth is, each one of us has to find that. And maybe this BD, because a BD, right, isn't just like a YouTube video that someone watches or a documentary. It's like, this thing is, you're in the person, you're feeling that. And so you're not just feeling the fact that he's getting nailed to the cross, you're feeling his pain, you're feeling all this stuff, his anguish, but his emotions. And so if he's really firm in that conviction, you're feeling all of his faith as well through this BD. And so that's more powerful than any Bible. So was he wrong about saying he's going to be the new Messiah? Well, I don't know. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he left, what he was in the world. It's the message he left to it via the BD, and everything that people take from that BD going forward is going to be his kind of, what he's contributed. And whether it's faith or not, whatever you call it in this world, right? It's it was amusing to me. Not amusing. It was inspirational in a way, in its dark kind of approach to things. I think philosophically it was pretty profound. That's the word I was looking for. So there you go.
Cool. Thank you, Shay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that last part. It's just the thing that I mean, like, he wanted his message out there, and says, I'm so against the message, it just puts on all the brakes. Like, this is not based on anything more than personal truths, and I feel like it's just what. Sorry. I mean, differences culturally and religiously is important in a free society. Like, it's true, it is, and you don't have to like gay marriage, but once you put your personal truths into laws and say, like, no, we can't have gay marriage because my personal truths and the Bible says it doesn't, it shouldn't be, then you're like a dictatorship. And if he and his faith is starting to bring those things back, it's just kind of scary. I've seen ads in game that make more sense than religion today, and that's like, it feels. I'm scared. I'm scared. Instead of having an objective scientific truth, you have this personal truth, and it's scary. I think it's scary.
Yeah, but David, here's the thing. Sorry but here's the thing in this world, right? Is like, what has truth become? When we're talking about a world that is, whether it's just the brainstorming of the advertising, of the news agencies, of the governments, like there's people can get hacked, people can get overwritten, like your memories can change, they can be created, you can become new people. Like, so all of a sudden, it's almost giving people that, again, it's not the act that was going to be how people became in the future, the crucifixion and what that meant, and like to go like super back to the, like, the 1000s, the 900s, right, of Christianity. It's like, I think it's more like it's that disruptor inside someone to go, what could this mean going forward? It could be the catalyst where someone believes again that there's something to believe in more than what the world is offering, which is all of that also fake stuff. There's no truth in this world. And so just having that that trigger go off to go, let me reinvestigate this. Let me reinvestigate what it means to seek the truth, what it means to seek the spirituality. And maybe that's the way to kind of get out of this rut. So it's not necessarily the rules and the laws that come out of the Bible, the word, but it's how do we reinterpret this for this new world?
Yeah, sure. But if you're gonna reinvestigate it again, I personally believe there's going to be any change in outcome. Like, okay, we're here again, and the only way to spread this or to spread the word is to convince others, and it's not easy, except by heated argument, cohesion, or by force, or whatever. And then I'm like, is this what we want again? Another crusade, or is it? Are we now enlightened enough to say that, okay, maybe we don't nuke each other over religion? No. No. I don't know. It's just I cherish your opinion. It's I like it. I hope actually people should be more open-minded like you are. I have a bitter black past with religion, but no. But I'm very firmly convinced on what I believe. But it's very nice to see some some opinions. Yeah, it's nice. You're wrong, but it's nice.
I can't wait to hear what Hark says.
I was gonna
now.
say after that, how do I follow that? Should I even bother giving my
yes!
giving my incorrect opinion?
Oh,
But
that's fun.
so knowing that David already knows I'm wrong, I mean,
Oh, jeez.
that'll help me move forward.
No.
So one thing that is before I dive into it, like one comment that somebody made on one of my videos, so this doesn't come from me, which I thought was interesting, is they said, something about this game that I noticed is that, Cyberpunk is full of all this violence. You're going around, chopping people's heads off, blowing people's, all the guts and entrails are flying all over the place. But the Sinner Man is the thing that really upsets people. Like that's what makes players like disturbed and uncomfortable. Is you're doing all these violent things and these horrific things, but the Sinner Man contest, man, somebody like, and so I was like, that's a really valid point that you make there.
Mm-hmm.
I think
So
it was in like a building killing 10 people. I think was bad. Probably.
Right.
I think they were bad.
They might have been
again.
So I just wanted to throw that out there for everyone to think about, because I'm like, that is interesting. So without like repeating a lot of the things that I said in my Let's Plays, because I talked a lot about it in my LP. So in my life growing up, especially because of my sexuality, I have a few friends and family members who are very much against my sexuality, and they disagree with it. They believe it's morally wrong. It makes them a little uncomfortable, and for some of the more extreme ones, it can be, borderline offensive to them. But those same people also believed that it was still my right. It was my right as a human being to live myself the way I should live, and that my right should be defended. And they have actually defended my right to live the way that my life is. And I thought that was really, really cool, because that's very hard for people to do, is to disagree with you to the point that you might think it's morally wrong and you might disagree with it. This is not in the same level, but I don't agree with smoking. I don't believe that smoking is a good idea. I don't encourage anyone to smoke. Would I defend your right to smoke if that's what you want to do in the privacy of your own home? Yes, I absolutely would defend it, even though I don't necessarily disagree with it. Again, it's not exactly the same thing, but it's all sort of like somehow in that same vein. And so I say that because going into this mission, I wanted to be for Joshua what those people were for me, because I didn't necessarily agree with everything Joshua is saying. Some of the stuff that he was doing, especially with like the crucifixion, obviously, I felt could be very offensive if I was really like being honest with myself as a person who is Roman Catholic. But that didn't matter. It didn't matter what I thought. It didn't matter what I believe. It didn't matter whether or not I thought his message was wrong. What I wanted to be was to defend his right to give that message as his dying wish, because it was the final thing he was going to give. He really felt passionate about it, whether he was insane or not.
Mm-hmm.
I believed in his right, his fundamental right as a human being, to give that message, just the same way that those people in my life, in real life, believed in my fundamental life right as a human being to be gay, despite their feelings against it. So that was sort of like my mentality going into this mission, and that's kind of why I ended up, doing what I did for Joshua. And I totally 100% agree that it was very exploitive by, oh my gosh, like Rachel, whatever her face was, I did not like her. Like I definitely sassed her as much as I could, because she was getting on my last nerve. So that was, it was, I wasn't doing it for them. I even said several times in my LP, I don't want your money. I'm not doing this for your money. I'm not doing this because of whatever goals you guys are doing it. I'm doing this because Joshua intrigues me. is he a perfect man? No. Like, should we forgive him for all the terrible things that he did? I don't know. Like, that's not for me to decide. Fortunately, if you do believe in a higher power, if you do believe in like some judgment, I don't have to do that. That's not my job. I always tell people that I think that many people who are religious, they forget that if you are a faithful person or a religious person, at least under the Christianity faith, your job is not to judge people. Your job is to love people. It is not my job to determine whether you go to hell or to go to heaven or whatever in the afterlife. That's not my job. My job is to love you. Leave the judging for God or the higher power, whatever you believe is going to be in. Your salvation is not up to me. It's up to whoever that person is, if you believe in that person. So that was really like how I felt. And then the only other thing that I wanted to just bring up that I was a little disappointed in with this quest in general is just the lack of representation. Because I think in general, Cyberpunk's done a great job in, representing people, especially when it comes to the sexuality spectrum, like trans people and bisexual and gay people, obviously. And it's apparent that religious characters do exist in this game. Like Jackie was religious. He was like, doing the sign of the cross and other things. And, you saw the ofrenda. But, his family were also very religious. And so I was a little disappointed that your dialogue choices were very limited because you were able to either respond them in such a way where V thought that Joshua was crazy or like not very religious. And then there were some like dialogue choices that were supportive of what we were saying, but for the most part, at best, they were indifferent. Like there was a moment at the end where Joshua asked if you could pray with him. And I think the best response, to represent me at least, the best response was, I guess I'll pray with you. And I'm like, really? Like you guess you pray with me? Like there's no other response where you can be a little bit more on the religious end of the spectrum? Because the other choices were very much more in the atheist or agnostic spectrum. So I felt very underrepresented. And I felt like this is not just a problem in this game. This is just a problem in a lot of like, a lot of media in general, and video games, for example, I think are notorious for this, where they're just very afraid to make your character, like your protagonist, seem to be semi-religious in some sort. And so that really hurt me a little bit, that I didn't have that freedom to be one end of the spectrum, but I had plenty of freedom to be in the other side of the spectrum of this religious issue. And so, in a storyline where religion had its place, because I feel like, religion doesn't have its place in many parts of a game. In this, this mission was meant to be all about this man's religion and faith and blah, 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 whether you agree to it or not. So yeah, I just went away from that feeling. I feel like they could have executed that a little bit better in terms of representation. So,
yeah. I have a question for you, Hog.
Yes.
Why do you think developers feel a need to kind of censor or like sideline religious commentary and quests and stuff?
I think
are they
it's
afraid
because
for backlash?
No, yeah, I think just in general, people it's a business. Ultimately, they have to make money, and I think there's a fear that they might offend too many people if they include some of that in, or this is again like touching religion in general. It's touchy for any video game company to try to tackle, and so I think that's a very good point. Is I feel like most people err on the side of caution of either avoiding religion altogether in their video games, which from a business standpoint is probably the right call. But in this situation, like we said, that's
the point. That was the point.
What's the point in bringing this up? It's like if you're gonna breach the topic, why not just dive into the topic? Like otherwise, why bother touching it at all? So yeah, I feel like it's just they don't want to lose money and they're afraid to offend too many people.
It's interesting though, because it seems like the US is a big market, and then Isn't like vast majority religious over there?
The U.S.
Yeah.
Well,
How
I
is it
mean,
now these days?
even in our government, like in God we trust is like a thing that's in all our money. And when the president, swears in, traditionally, he swears on a Bible, but it doesn't have to be a Bible. It could be like any religious text. It could be the Torah or something, anything really. So, I mean, every single major leader, like our president, has traditionally been religious.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, we talk about church and state, but on paper we talk about church and state, but in practice and in execution, I haven't seen as much of a separation as it might could have been.
Exactly,
So,
and I'm not going to open that can of worms.
I don't want to open that can of worms.
This is Cyberpunk, I understand. No, I just wanted to hear you say it. And see where you go with that thought.
Did you guys nail him? Did you guys nail him to the cross?
I did.
No.
Yeah.
I did not. I couldn't.
Oh, really? I thought we all did. It sounded like
no, I could not do it.
No.
What happens if you don't, David? I didn't.
There's an extra. Yeah, it's an extra who comes in and does it for you.
That comes in and does it for you.
So you still see there. But I love the music though. Fantastic music if you nail it.
And you know the best, the soundtrack. The soundtrack is called Corporate Church or something.
Isn't it
Corporate Synagogue?
Thing? I don't know. Oh man, it's amazing though.
My question to you, David, is why did you decide to just not do the mission at all? To just, this is
Consumer Cathedral. Sorry.
Sorry.
I know definitely in my playthrough, I'm very selective of what quests I will and will not do. And I specifically were like, oh, heck no. I disagree with this so much. I'm not doing that quest. In fact, there was one moment where I almost completed the quest. Like, it got to the point where I was going to turn in what I wanted to turn in to complete the quest. And then as soon as I spoke with the client, I was like, oh, heck no, you're not getting this. Forget it. Access denied. Not completing this quest. So my question is, why did you decide to go through as far as to see the
morbid curiosity. I wanted to see how, first of all, if I could convince him not to do it.
Gotcha.
I tried all the time. No, don't do it. And the outcome I got is that the BD wasn't very good, and they were angry with me because I so doubted him.
Oh,
and
you messed it up, David.
The same thing happened to me too.
And I'm like, F you guys.
Yeah, they were really
not you guys, but the reporters. She was.
I took the same approach.
Yeah,
I kind of wished. Well, that's disappointing. I kind of wish that there was an outcome that would allow you to convince Joshua to not go through with it.
Yeah, I thought so.
So I'm kind of I am bummed that they weren't able to let you do that.
Can't you just kill him right at the start? I'm fairly certain I could aim at his head. Like I don't remember anymore. It was a blur, like I said, but I think you can just cancel the entire thread if you kill them, can't you? Or no? Or is it just possible. Like he's got invulnerability and still makes it to the end with an extra and does a crappy BD maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I just stood behind my guy and he died, and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting paid. So why bother? That's my moral high ground.
So interesting point with even the name of the song just reminded me of someone says something about like the corporation, like that even religion has become corporate. I mean, that's an interesting point because even based on what I just said, it sort of counters the entire point of my rant. It's that this was all about this almost counter brain dance that would disrupt people back out of the other brain dance, the brainwash that would disrupt people out of the corporate brainwash. But at the end of the day, it was a corporal that was recording this to make money off of this thing that would be the counter brain. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's still money behind the push of this just to make money to then what's their angle? What's going to be their marketing? And this can all twist around again and just turn it into another capitalist consumerist thing. And it's like, oh, what was the point of this guy dying for this to unlock this faith, right? So it's bastards. Hate the corporals.
Corporal background. Whoa.
Was there anything else that people wanted to say about the Sinnerman? I feel like we all were able to get out of our chest what we wanted to get out of. It definitely is a quest that did what I believe the developers intended.
Thought-provoking. It was
spark this reaction. All right. So since we've been talking about the amazing side quests, I wanted to pause for a moment and start moving towards the main quest missions instead. And one of the things that I found to be one of the most beautiful, I think Kathleen mentioned this as well, one of the most beautiful missions was the parade with Takamura and trying to get to Hanako, with just all the floats. And I don't know, for me, that was one of the most fun missions to experience and to see all the beautiful visuals. So I don't know if you had anything to add, Kathleen or Diva, to that.
Yeah, I think Takamura is one of the coolest characters. He's just so badass. He's very like he's got this samurai vibes. I think he would have been a cool romance if that was another. That was like one. That was one on my list. I was like, oh, that he would have been a really cool romance for a character. Would have added more to the story, and yeah, just right away I was like, oh, he kind of has this cool, really awesome cybernetics and interesting backstory with his connections to Arasaka. And so initially, like as soon as you meet him and you kind of like fate brings you together, even though you should be on opposite sides, it seems like you kind of have this like unlikely alliance, especially as a street kid and not a corpo. I but I liked the dynamic there. I felt like him and my V were constantly at odds, but I enjoyed his, take on things. So when we get to that mission, it's just one of the most visually stunning missions. I found myself just trying to be a spectator and probably stalling more than I should just to get different angles and screenshots of the actual floats. Kind of reminds me of like the vibes that I got when I was in Singapore, actually, like the futuristic, almost kind of like a futuristic Chinatown in a way. It was like a blending not only of like Japanese culture, but like there was things that I recognize in the floats and stuff that I see in a lot of like I don't know, it's kind of like a blending of a lot of Asian cultures that I witnessed there. Like the different floats kind of remind me of traditions we have here in Taiwan as well. So it was really beautiful, and I got caught up in the visuals and didn't really care too much about the actual story progression. So I don't know about you, but
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, uh, visually very appealing. I keep comparing it to Blade Runner, especially the new one, um, which also had like the holographic parades and stuff, and it's very sweet. And Takamura himself, I'm not too sure about I don't know too much about the cyberpunk lore or the theme of what is it called? What is it called? You have fantasy, you have like sci-fi. Is it called cyberpunk? The genre?
yeah,
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 cyberpunk.
it is a
genre.
genre,
Yeah, I
cyberpunk.
haven't really
Yeah, like
explored that very
steampunk.
much. Yeah, but I've always felt that it has a Asian influence,
Yes.
a very strong Asian influence, and I thought he really brought that into the game.
Yeah.
You get to see the Asian corporations and things like that. So I really enjoy him.
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to add is just to reinforce how much I absolutely love the mix in traditional, I guess, American culture with the high influence of Asian cultures in the game. Not just in this mission, obviously, but just like the important people that you meet and just the different districts and how many of them are Asian inspired. It just gives it a really cool, like, rich vibe and flavor that you don't get to see as much as represented to that same degree with other games like this, AAA games like this. So
Yeah,
I think that's another reason why it kind of reminded me of like Singapore, really, because Singapore is one of the most multicultural places I've been in Asia, and it has like the little Indian neighborhood and Chinatown, and it kind of felt that was one of the beautiful things about exploring the city is, and that's what you get with any big city, is you get like these little pockets of culture. And you really feel that when you're even walking through the world. So
Yeah. I think it's fair for us to talk about Takamura as a requested romanceable character in the story that ended up not being romanceable, because we're not. I know that we're not the only ones who feel the same way. A lot of people have voiced in the online that they were deeply disappointed that Takamura was not a romance option.
Takamura's daddy.
Takamura's daddy. Yeah. Because for me, I don't think I or my V fell for Takamura, and so it never like crossed my mind for him to be a romanceable option. But the more I listened to other people, it got to me to think, I can kind of see that. What were the biggest reasons why you think Takamura would have been a really great candidate for romance, Kathleen?
I just saw some fan art on my Pinterest and I was like, oh, that makes sense. So there's just like, and then I got, it's just really funny how I go down these like Pinterest spirals or like these like Instagram spirals while I'm like finding fan art of stuff. And I just liked one post of Takamura romance with a masculine V, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Like that's just such a cool art piece, and it's a really interesting interpretation of the relationship. And then I just went down a spiral of just fan art, and as you do,
we get it, we understand.
No, it wasn't like graphic. It wasn't graphic.
Okay. My mistake.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything against graphic BL or anything. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting. It's a kind of cool way to interpret the dynamic, and especially with I could not see my V falling for that kind of character, because I mean that's just a part of my own personality that I put on to V, that I just hate corpos, but I think it would be a really interesting idea.
My V would, and I would, because I like this guy. I respect him a lot. I think I didn't love or feel those feelings, but I had tremendous respect for him and his ways, and
I can see that.
Yeah, I like when things are made very simple with strict guidelines, but you already knew that. It's just. And he has his honor, like the classic Japanese honor, what is right and wrong within that. And no, I liked it. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, so the parade one, kind of interesting thing happened in my Let's Play where I ended up finding the entire set piece because I got it into my head that I just wanted to try to climb a building. And I just kept climbing and I kept finding different things to jump onto. And then I was like, wait, where am I? This is like a room with shit in it. There's a laptop in here. Wait, what's this about? Like this sounds very Takamura-ish, or not Takamura, but something to do with the relic. And I was like, in one of the emails, I was like, I don't think I should be here. And then I couldn't get out. I didn't know how to get off of the building because I climbed so high, and I got so deep down into that entire kind of set piece that I kind of did a pre-recon. I was like, oh, I think this is the parade mission. I think I'm doing pre-recon here. So then I rolled with the whole RP of it. I loved that the set piece really did feel like a heist. Like you were trying to set things up. There was like the snipers that were located. I'm like, oh, sniper against sniper, bitches. Like I got this, right? So it's like everything was kind of set up to be, we're working together here and we're going to pull this off. And I like the I got confused about the enemy, the blade enemy at the end. I was like, who am I fighting right now? Holy crap, this is happening way too fast. But it was a guy that I like is like, don't kill him. Like there's an honor code, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this honor code thing, whatever it means. It's not for V to like judge this, but he's like a big family kind of thing, and like the honor to the blood or the line. If he interprets it differently, I'm not one to kind of step in the way. So I did kind of pull back my punches on that guy, but I thought it was a cool kind of flow. Takamura himself, I felt like a really cool growth with the character's development in the story. Like the way it starts off, you're like, I can't trust this guy. Like this guy's part of the entire like corpo thing that like got me into this mess in the first place. And then I think it was like even his first text messages back to you, I felt like there was a little bit of I don't think it was intentional comedy, but there was like this there was kind of this buddy cop-ish kind of comedy that was going on, and I was like, do you know you're like sounding like a fool right now? And then of course I went that angle with V. I was like, okay, I'm gonna kind of roast him a little bit too, because they're giving me the option. I feel like that'd be kind of a cool way to play it. But then they kept doing that, and it kept being this kind of, they would roast each other's jokes, or kind of not jokes, but they were always messing with each other in the text messages, and I really love that development of that relationship. And I think it goes back to the honor bound thing. Like Myvi could respect that he was so devoted to the Arasakas and to the line, and like he came from nothing, so he's kind of a street kid, but he kind of rose into those ranks. But even as a street kid, he knew the importance of, not the importance, but to him, like it meant something to have that bond, and it's not necessarily a faith, but it's kind of the same philosophical foundation there, where when you believe something so much, you're convicted so much, you got so much conviction around an idea, it has the potential to make you a better person, because you're going to be so honed in on that being your truth and that being your path to truth that you're I don't know, I feel like I could have respected that, and he could have learned something from that at the end. Like no matter what kind of crap Takamura was going through, he was not gonna bow down at this point. He made that life choice, he was on that path, and he was going to be devoted to them till the end, even if it meant like destroying himself. So I love the development.
I don't know, maybe some of you knew this, but Takamura's fate, when you guys are being attacked and you're trying to get out of that building with all the soldiers or whoever that are assaulting you, he could live or die. It is determinate. His fate is determinate. He could still survive that. So I unfortunately
I'm
did
so
not
mad that they
know
didn't
that.
make that clearer.
Oh,
they
no.
don't
Yeah,
make it clear.
They don't make it clear either. Did any of you? So did none of you guys manage to save? Did you save him?
Yeah. I didn't know that was an option.
Oh wow!
I was like, Johnny was telling me to go at the door. I'm like, no, well, I mean, for me, it wasn't that it was. I agree, it wasn't clear, but there was a I dig into the storytelling, right? So I kind of I think you pointed up recently about the writer, like how it was written, and it was kind of negative for you with Claire. The writing for that particular scene for me was like, I read into the writing, and I was like, wait a minute, they just told me that he's back there fighting on his own. I was like, so I was like, no, I'm gonna try to go back, because that's where you know what I mean? Even if like from a plot perspective, like, can I find out that he's dead, even though Johnny is saying go forward, just save yourself, and even though there's a survivalist mentality, but I think again that whole the honor bound and like sticking true, as like family motif kicked in, the theme came up for me, is like, no, I'm gonna go back even if it like wrecks me, but I gotta go find out what happened to him, or at least try. Because we made that relationship. So we'll see. I had no idea. Oh damn.
I definitely wanted to save him as well, but
so wait, when you get out of the building, so you just get out of the building and then that's it? Like I can't even see how this could go if he's not around. Because like I thought there was like a scene after. Okay, well, I'll see your playthrough.
It made me mad that it wasn't clear, and I'll have to like go back and redeem myself the next time I play.
I had no idea you could do it. Like it just says go forward. Like
right,
in a panic mode, like okay,
because normally
not even an option, like pick secondary objective.
Normally the prompts say or exactly. So I'm not sure if that was on purpose. Like
interesting.
I don't know if that was purposeful.
Well, that might be where the it's like a boon. It's a bane and a boon. I have hyperfocus, so like I don't see things on the screen that are appearing. So I'm almost never looking at the optional parts of the quest. I just forget that list is on the right side, and I'm just kind of going on gut of like what the driver is, like that I'm hyper focused in. So if I'm hyper focused on someone speaking, whatever they're telling me, I'm just gonna keep going in that direction. I don't even know I'm doing it until like some quests. Who was the guy in the apartment that died? Didn't know there was an optional piece there to go to the graveyard and then get something.
Him.
So I watched it in Hark's video. I'm like, it's a tortoise. The whole thing was like, I was like, oh Jesus. I had no idea. I was like, how did he die? I don't even know what I did. And then in the comments, they're like, well, you didn't do the optional quest. I'm like, what are you talking about optional quests? Like, where was they should have been clear. It was like, it was literally on your screen for like an hour. Like, what are you talking about? So maybe it kind of came in. It was my benefit right there, right?
Awesome. So I think we can move on to another main main quest line, which is Evelyn Parker and Clouds and all of that good stuff. Do any of you guys have anything to comment on that at all?
Summarize it. I might have been the one who played it the most recent, so I might.
Yeah, probably.
So I left this one way longer than I should have. It was one of those plots that it was a V driver for me because that's how the story starts, and I felt like he contributed to the mess she got in. I think if I recall from the last time we talked, I might have. I gave her a name up, like, so I kind of had my character's perspective was like I kind of got her into this shit. Like I gave her a name up. I wasn't honest to her. I wasn't truthful to her. I didn't have a reason to trust her, but my character wanted to make up for that, and so he wanted to kind of find her, take care of her, make sure she got back on her feet, and then the track of that quest ends up the way it ends up, where you're like, what the hell? Like, I don't know how it even ended up to this point where Judy has to, take care of the scene she did, where Evelyn just like she ends. I'm like, I don't know right now. Could I have stopped that? Was there a decision I made? Did I do this too late in the progression? Even so. I like the idea of not knowing, right? But at the same time, it's like maybe that was the part of the plot, because then that triggers off the Voodoo Void kind of progression and takes you down that track. And then my head was like, okay, well, is this going somewhere else, with the Voodoo Boys? And we're going to lead into that conversation, so I'll just end my thoughts with the Voodoo Boy thing. I went in there kind of aggressive just because I didn't know. I got confused again as to how this all played down this track. And I wanted to really care about what the Voodoo Boys were after, because I thought that there was a whole kind of neo spirituality that I was like, this is what I kind of want out of the game. I wanted my character to kind of investigate this. And as a player, I was very intrigued by the idea of like this digital religion that is an afterworld. There's demons. There's an afterlife theoretically in the whole data sphere. And I wanted them to kind of unveil that to me, but I felt like so abused through the entire progression with the Voodoo Boys that I wasn't able to get to the anything clear on the Evelyn part. So I kind of that escalated really rapidly for me. So I don't know if that plot progressed anywhere else. It sort of just ended for me at that at the wall piece.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was like a detective work thing again. If you miss one of the hints, you can very easily go into the Voodoo Boys quest confused. But which I did in the first playthrough. Second playthrough, I knew everything about Evelyn Parker, checked out everything in the BDs, and I'm like, okay, so she's connected to them, and she's trying to double cross this person, and she's now not double crossing, but now she's going to die, and they have taken her this way, and I'm like, oh, what is happening? But yeah, in the end, I got there. Okay. It's nice. Just have your head on straight, and you're good to go. What I loved most about the quest involving finding Evelyn Parker was the Clouds mission, when you're talking to this this prostitute, mental prostitute. I mean, I don't know what it is, and I was like, yeah, sure, I was gonna talk to her and get her information. But I loved that discussion I had with her. It felt so. It's not real, but it felt so real. And I think that was the way they wanted to bring that about. Like, oh, this is a really interesting conversation and deep conversation I'm having with this doll right now. And I was like taken aback because I was ready to go in gun ho and like, yeah, whatever, just. But yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. And when you pull her out of it, you feel like, oh, and it didn't feel like I had consent almost. Like, oh, this was not okay. But it was very, very nice conversation. Like, I don't know what to feel about this anymore.
And the other significant thing that happens during your interaction with the doll, regardless of which one you select, is you learn V's real name. Whether you're male or female. I don't know if you caught that as well, Shay. That the doll says your real name. They don't call you V.
I don't remember it now though, but I think you're right. There was a moment where I was like, "What the fuck?"
It happened very quickly, and I actually missed it too, because like during my Let's Play, I didn't make a comment about it, and because I totally missed it. But he does say at the well, for me it was I picked Angel, and he said something like "Welcome, Vincent,"
Oh wow.
and I totally missed that Vincent was. And then for the female, you find out that female V's name is Valerie, which is pretty cool.
Is it confusing when you gotta choose who you wanna be with? And like it's like Angel and
Yes. Did anyone else actually?
Who was the female again? I'm like,
Angel. I accidentally picked Angel because I thought Angel was a girl's name. And there's actually like so many memes about people that have made the same decision because they thought Angel was the girl. And so I actually went back. I was like, hell no. I'm not. I'm not cuddling with this. I'm not
Good
cuddling
for you.
with this guy.
Good for you.
That was one of the coolest NPCs in the entire game. The girl that works at Clouds. Like she has this blue hair and just a very detailed face and makeup, and her dress is gorgeous. And I was like, oh my god, like that's another character that should have been romanceable, but she's just so pretty and realistic, and yeah, it's amazing how much they put into this character you only see once.
That's true.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. Okay, let's Google her.
She is, yeah.
But she's no Panam.
She's no Panam.
Yeah.
We'll get to Panam.
I romanced Judy, and that was like my main thing, you know, like that's who I was with the whole time. I mean, most of the time.
Sometimes when that river is flowing like milk and honey, you just kind of have to dive in. So
yeah, this is what I do in games. I try to romance as many characters as possible, but I went fully with Judy when you know when I had to make that decision. But Judy, oh my god, she's the love of my life. She's so great. She's beautiful. So I went through this quest just to like kind of get to know her better, and Evelyn was very important to her. So I felt for her throughout this whole thing, her trying to help her friend. And we get fully through this through Evelyn's story, right?
I did.
Yes.
The dam thing was in Act 3. I don't know if that's because that's where I was wondering, like, how can you kick off that relationship unless that is in Act 2? I just happened to kick off Judy's full plot with the whole sunken city thing in Act 3 recently. So feel free to talk about it, but it's like, I'm curious.
Yeah, so
because that felt like the moment to me where you had the opportunity to kind of go further with Judy was at the cottage. Is that about right?
Yes. I believe so. Yeah.
So it was just Evelyn's story was pretty tragic. Just really heartbreaking because a lot of people I think that are in that world like try to get out of it, you know, if they get in it for the wrong reasons. Not that everyone that gets into sex work does it for the wrong reasons. Some people that are their own employers, like they feel in control and it's not exploitative. But like in her case, like she wasn't in control fully. And I feel like it was like her trying to regain control of her life in the last couple of moments of her life. And just so heartbreaking for Judy and for her that it ended up the way it did.
So well acted with Judy and V when they carry her, you know, to her home and call the emergency services and like, okay, 3 days, just hold on, however long it was, and she's like freaking out, and you're like, oh, this was you liked her.
Yeah.
Oh, that was sweet. Judy's.
I know this is random, but like I want those fingernail rings that she has. Oh my god, Evelyn Parker.
Yeah, those were very cool.
I kept admiring those.
It's great. Since it goes right into this mission, we can move on to the Voodoo Boys portion. And I think several people mentioned this. I really thought that the Voodoo Boys as a group was just really interesting. Their whole culture and, you know, their way of doing things was just really fascinating. And how I always called them the Blood Mages. Like, oh, I can join the Blood Mage group because essentially hacking net is pretty much blood magic if you're like able to let them commit suicide on themselves. Like my V was
Yeah, you're
That was
insane.
so
Scary.
disturbing.
Bill is insane,
My
right?
V was scary. I was like, V, you are terrifying me with
poof,
how
camera,
much
poof, camera, poof.
camera suicide, camera suicide,
Yeah,
camera.
I'm playing like one of those. Well, what is it? What are the abilities called? The hacking dudes.
Net hacker, or
Net hacker.
runners?
Yeah.
Net runners.
You just
Net
walk into a
runners.
room, hold down caps lock, and just do 3 abilities, and they double up, and everyone just die around me. It's like,
Right.
what is happening? This is horrible. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's more like, sure, I can blow people up with my shotgun, but at least they just pull up their gun and shoot themselves in the face.
Right.
You're like, ooh.
Or just make them pull out a grenade and pull the pin
Yeah.
and just hold on to it, and then yeah.
Perverse. I don't
that
know.
was-
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know what's really embarrassing is that I wasted so much time when I first was trying to net run. Like doing it in the I don't know, like you could pause time or slow time or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you let go, it goes
gotta do that
faster.
too.
So I would sit
Oh my
there
God.
waiting for like 2 minutes. I was like, why is this taking so long?
Yeah.
Ooh, this could be a
It was
long
so
game.
dumb.
Yeah. I think Shay did that a lot with his tutorial. If I
I was
remember
like,
in the
"Move."
tutorial, he was like, "Why is this taking so long? Why is it?"
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It took me a long time to figure that out.
Embarrassing.
That is it does have a bit of a learning curve, and I think they could have done a better job of explaining that in the tutorial.
Or I should have listened, I think.
Yeah, same. Just ping
Actually,
it. Why do I have to wait? And then you let go, and it's like ring. I was like, oh come on, it take like half a
Yeah.
second. Awkward. Anyways,
But I'm curious with the Voodoo Boys. There's a big decision where you have to decide to stay with the Voodoo Boys or join the Netrunners, because the Netrunners or Netwatch. Thank you, the Netwatch. I'm curious what you guys ended up choosing.
Netwatch all the way.
You did Netwatch all the way.
Yes.
And why is that?
I feel that the Voodoo Boys have no integrity. I mean, they're unreliable, almost like terrorists. I mean, they're kind of harsh guys.
Yeah. And you thought the Netwatch had more?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do. I do. And he's like, dude, the Voodoo Boys are manipulating you. Do a system diagnostic. Check it out. It's just a copy. He's gonna kill you when your job is done. And it goes from like, oh, these guys really screwed me over, to like they're gonna kill me, to like, okay, well then it's justice then, vengeance, because they really try to kill me. So yeah, I let him go with his data, and he released Brigitte just like he said he would, and yeah, it ended the way it did, and I'm like, yes.
Oh wow!
I came out there, everyone's dead, and I'm like, success.
It sounds like Shay, you did the other one. You stayed with.
Don't trust you.
You stayed with Voodoo.
I did, but then I felt super betrayed at the end, which is why I just made everything go to shit. Like I just everyone had to die. Like I felt super betrayed, because I was like, I took a stand for you. Like I don't trust these net bastards. But at this, like stick with me to the end, man. But you get pulled out, and then all of a sudden, are you still turning on me? Are you kidding me right now? Like, so everything had to go. Had to purge the building.
How about you, Kathleen?
Yeah, I wanted to see. I'm big on aesthetics. Like I'm a very flamboyant person, and if someone has a cool jacket,
oh my god,
oh man, and they like slaughter a chicken in front of me during our first interaction, I'm like, I'm so down. I'm down for these vibes, but I stuck to my principles, and I was like, you know what? You did try to kill me, even though I love your jackets. I love your vibe, and I would love to learn some Creole. I'm peacing out. So I'm gonna do it next time I play, though, just because, like I said, I like the jacket. And
so,
like the vibes.
So you did side with Netwatch. Then.
Yeah, I did.
Is that what you're saying? Interesting.
Yeah.
I was sketched out by both groups, and so I was on the fence, and I told myself, well, my V is Corpo, and he is
he'd understand.
net hacker. He is a net runner too, and he would sway more towards the Netwatch. So that's what I ended up doing, was go to Netwatch as well.
Voodoo Boys are so cool. I wish there was more
They are-
side quests
Me
with
too.
like. There's got
I
to be
do, yeah.
little factions of the Voodoo Boys that like would hang out with you. I don't know. I just wish I got more of them.
Yeah.
They were really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Have you seen the Nightwatch agent? He was like corporate outfit and his all high tech cybernetics in his skin and up his man.
But the Voodoo Boys had
Romanceable, no?
I actually did say, like, the Netwatch guy, I was like, he's kind of
my God.
he's kind of handsome. I'm
Who's
actually
the
kind of
Netwatch guy
attracted
again?
to
I'm
this person.
googling it. What's his name?
So-
Netwatch guy.
No, Netwatch guy.
I don't remember.
Netwatch
Voodoo
agent.
Netwatch. Voodoo Netwatch.
Yeah.
Voodoo?
Just a Voodoo Quest Netwatch runner. Oh, what's his name? Steven? I don't remember either.
Yeah, like the Fred.
Agent, Netwatch agent, I think. I don't remember.
Okay, I'll find it.
I thought he had. He wasn't. I didn't think he was cute, but I thought he had at least hands. It was the jawline. He has that jawline that David knows about.
He's like high tech guy. I like him. And I got
is he the
bad
one that
vibe.
wears like the collared shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's cool. I like his vibes.
Yeah.
The
I
thing
don't
is,
go so much with vibes. I think that's more a Kathleen thing.
Fair. Kathleen likes the dead, like somebody pulling a dead chicken
my
on
God.
her, basically.
Yeah.
Do they
I
have
just
full
think
nails?
that's good. I'm impressed.
So if you want to win somebody's heart, if any of the ladies out there want to win Kathleen's heart, kill a chicken in front of her.
And wear
Or
coat
just
coat.
have
You gotta have
or
cool
just
nails
have,
though.
like,
Cool
a
A
shirt.
nice jacket.
Cool
cool
hair.
nails, cool hair.
Cool jacket. Yeah, exactly.
Just act cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We all have our thing. Like, everybody knows if you have a red hair, I'm like hearts all over
right.
that. If you have red hair, boom, I'm in.
I just think I'm into danger, so that's my thing. Yeah, dangerous people.
Oh, I was gonna say the Voodoo Boys, they have a code to them though, and I think that what
They do.
I regret that they didn't give us more of that that grounded stuff, that about their code on the street. Even that might have helped me even make some decisions, like about why they were so protective, why they had their own thing, why they were such a close knit community, and ultimately, like it kind of fit in with the theme that I was playing with, which was family, and like that's the whole thing with them. A lot of the gangs have that. They have the whole like we're in with it was all a family kind of unit kind of idea, but Voodoo Boys was something else because it was a belief system. It was a very new belief system, but it was well defined. And I came across I think it was a random shard or some crap on the street where it talked about they don't use guns on the street because they think it's like, I forget the word they use. It's not like it's a reflection of the savagery of humanity or something like that. I was like, what the hell? That was kind of important. And so like I stopped killing them in the game. I was like, no, they if you're gonna have that code, like they're not the threat on the street. They have a code that has to do with like what that spirituality, that neo spirituality is, but they don't get involved like in anything else. And they really kind of set themselves up as a bit of a Mox for me. And I love the Mox. Like you don't ever get a bad side of the Mox in this game. I felt like they could have done that with the Voodoo Boys, except that wrong interpretation through that quest, and you're like, oh shit, I mean now everything's south, like they're all angry at me, but they don't attack me. And I tested this, I went right into a crowd of them. I was like, okay, they're not turning on me, so they don't even get that like warning, like backup signal, right? That even the cops do for me. I was like, what, why are the cops so angry in this game? But the Voodoo Boys are like, nah, they're chill, they're on the street, they mind their business, you mind yours, you know what I mean? Go about your day. But they won't shoot you, they won't shoot anyone. They won't use guns,
but they will use you and then kill you.
Yeah, but
So there's that. I don't know.
Whatever the goal was, I
But
like
they
those
have
things.
a techno church. But they
Yeah.
have a techno
the
church.
techno church. That is interesting.
Very cool.
Interesting.
I would go to
I
a
was
techno
sure.
church.
A techno
If there's a
church,
techno
that is
church,
interesting.
I will go back to church, okay? You'll save my soul.
That's so hilarious.
Neo spirituality, I'm telling you. There's something there.
Yeah.
I guess if we're done talking about the Voodoo Boys, and also I guess a really really quick thing is I really enjoyed the Mega Mall mission.
Oh my god.
It was just really
That's fun to crawl through.
That was just fun, just to
Cool
go through
set
all the
piece.
different.
Mhm.
Yeah, the whole stage area was fun to go around. But the last, I guess, main quest route for Act 2 was everything with Pan Am and the Aldecaldos in the Badlands, and Better Call Saul is how I called
Yes.
him.
Nice.
Lots to unpack there. Who wants to start with all of that?
I mean, David
Okay,
and I
sure.
probably. Yeah,
Trying to
David.
remember.
I did this pretty late, actually. I didn't think it was a big quest. But I really enjoyed Panam from the moment I met her, and I bent over into her car, fixing it. Oh, nice character development.
Wait,
I
did
like
you do
this.
that after you met her, or did you?
No. It was just like, as can I laugh because it was so obvious. Like, what, guys? Really? This is what you're gonna do? Yeah. Okay, sure. Kind of like in your face. No. I thought he was going to be one of those. Really? Yeah, I know. He was a guy.
Well, sorry, I only laughed because I was reminded of the parallel with River Ward, where River Ward is like grilling burgers, and he's clearly like bending over as well.
Yeah.
And like, because he turns his back to you, and I'm like, yeah, the developers totally they're doing this on purpose. Why are they doing this on purpose to this poor gay man? This poor gay man. Why?
River Ward was definitely a trap for.
Oh, Jesus.
Trap for all the gay boys. But sorry, continue.
No, I just enjoyed her personality, and I didn't think I would because she's some sort of. I thought she was some sort of outlaw and chaotic person living out on the road, thief, whatever. But she has a code. The I don't know, avocados that I call them. What is the name? Avocados, yeah.
Avocados.
Yeah, I don't know.
The avocados. I love that. I'm gonna start calling them that. The avocados.
I couldn't remember the name. No, I really enjoyed her. I really enjoyed her company. Are we talking just about Panam in general? Because I really enjoyed that romance.
You can.
I didn't even know she was romanceable. I had no idea who was romanceable or not. And I already had Judy that quest done by this point, and I was like, "Oh, she's lesbian. I can't romance her. Do I have a romance option?" It wasn't until like a few hours into the Panam quest that I understand that. Wait, hold on a second. Is this something? And it's just she's so. Let's see. I've written down something down here. She feels like so genuine, vulnerable, but still has a lot of walls put up that you have to earn to pull down. And it's such a realistic, it's a realistic romance. I love my Mass Effect, but it's like get to know them, do a mission, at the end of the game you have sex and it's done. I love them, but this one is so much more multi-layered. Like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah,
we're alone in a cabin, and I'm like, oh, this is a nice moment. Pull up my hand up her leg, and she's like, nope, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah,
this is what I used to.
Yeah.
She did that to me, and I cried a little bit.
Oh no, she did that to you?
She was your river.
I didn't realize she did that to the girls too.
I thought
my god,
that was the rejection.
Such a trap.
That's when I realized that
such a trap.
Yeah, it was really obvious. But the whole scene like puts you in like, maybe she's not interested, but I think she is because she made the move on me. But there's something more there. And then day after, you get a kiss, a quick kiss before she takes her bag out, and you're like, okay, yeah, I did.
It wasn't like on the lips. It was like on the cheek, though. It was like even that.
Yeah.
I didn't get that with River either, Kathleen. So I didn't get that either.
No, but then you just start to understand, like, okay, there's something deeper here than just like a one night stand, something. And as you progress through this, you have a text confirmation like, maybe there's something here, but we don't want to rush it. And I have lots of walls up, and I don't want to be. And then you're in the tower when you're gonna take the train, and you have a talk as well, like a real sincere, nice talk. Like, where do you want this to go? Like really mature adult talk. And it was so refreshing. Like, it seems so realistic.
They took their
like,
time.
Okay, we take your time, and we're actually talking about it like grown-ups. And I feel like the game really rewards you for taking the Panam path. I'm not going to go into the ending or anything, but when you're in the you look at the stars and you have a Panam romance, that scene is enhanced by just having a romance. And the whole avocado quests are enhanced. Avocados, the quest is enhanced. I can't say it. Avocados.
Just keep calling it avocado. It's fine. Just keep calling them avocados.
It just feels.
Avocados are great.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
They
It just
great.
feels like if you have that romance, it just enhances so much of the game.
Mhm.
I feel like maybe people are getting felt left out if they don't have it, because I felt it like it was so much. Yeah, she's just awesome.
She
Well,
feels
guess
like
what,
a best
Dave?
friend.
Guess what, David? You are a straight man.
Yeah,
Guess what?
exactly.
That
I'm
is
a
the
straight
straight
man.
man. Welcome to
felt
the straight
guilty
man
for it.
romance.
I did feel
Welcome
guilty
to the
for
straight
it.
man romance.
Yeah, like
That's
okay,
all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
like
man.
90% of people playing this game are gonna have this romance, so they invested in it. So I can totally understand. Just have some introspection, like oh, I get it now. Oh, that sucks. So yeah, as a straight white man, I enjoy the straight white romance. Oh, not white romance, but straight romance.
Yeah, it's a straight romance.
Jesus.
Straight white. Ugh.
I was gonna say Panam actually is darker skin. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Oh, she's gorgeous. But
Yeah.
she's gorgeous. But I did fall in love with her awesome, cheerful, strong, and decisive
Yes.
personality. Like
Yeah.
when she's just standing there screaming at Saul in his face, or when she's so strong as well, like independently.
Yeah.
And it really resonates with me. Like this is someone I can talk to on a very equal level. That's what I want. It's not a weird power balance. Like, give and take. Oh, I love her. Not as much as Tally, but I still love her.
I'm glad you put that in. I also was very attracted to Panam's her personality, definitely. I think my favorite thing about her is just the dialogue. The writers did a great job writing the banter between her and V, because it really felt like the chemistry between them, even if it's for a friendship, the chemistry was great. I love the way that my V and her could talk to each other. Maybe it's just because of the dialogue choices that I picked, but I was so drawn to her very quickly, and I was definitely sat there thinking I totally would be BFFs with this person. Like I'd be very sad for her if she liked me, and I don't really see her in that way, but totally BFF material. So.
You actually had to.
She has good friend vibes.
Yeah, but I think you did actually have to tell her off. Like, no, this is not okay. Take your legs off my.
I did,
and that's cool. And she was okay with
treated,
it.
I like Park's angle at that too, the way you approached it and your explanation, because the explanation was in the game, but it was sound. You added value to the scene for sure.
It came from because of real life experience, because I have been in that situation where a girl is very obviously trying to make moves, and when it first happened to me, I was trying to be nice, so I kind of just let it happen, and I was trying to be very chivalrous and polite. Like there was a time when we went, it was clearly not a date, but we went together to a band function, like a band dinner together, just as friends. And I told her, we go just as friends. But I'm the kind of person who loves to be chivalrous. So I'm opening the door for her, pulling the chair for her, making sure that her drink was always filled. So I'd like to be a very nice person. And I think that was my downfall, is Hark was trying to be nice. And therefore she took it as I was confirming with her that I liked her too. And long story short, it did not end very well at all. And so that's why when Panam started making moves on me, it sort of triggered that real life experience. And I was like, nope. I've been down this route before.
Yeah, before it's
I
too
need to
late.
make it very clear where the lines are early, because I don't want there to be any confusion. I want it to be crystal clear where I'm at. And so that was why I role played it the way that I did.
Yeah, and I feel like they did a good thing writing it, because you said no to Panam, and she didn't scream or shout. She oh, okay, I'm sorry. Next day was okay. You made jokes. You fine. You did the same with River.
I did the same with River, exactly, from the other direction.
From the other direction, and he's like, "Whoa, no, not like that. I'm not." But after she had that like shock value thingy, you went back to normal.
Yeah, you went back to normal. It was all right.
Great friends.
It was
Nothing
okay.
weird. Okay, but yeah, I respect you for going for it anyway. Like,
thank you.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. The relationship was so intertwined with the Aldecado quest line and the whole Badlands thing.
The who?
The relationship, the
avocado quest line.
Okay, now I get it. Okay.
The quest line, her romance was so intertwined with the things you dealt with during the entire Badlands quest line. So every step she took to kind of not gain control of that family, but to kind of position herself so that like she was kind of go-getter attitude, but I think part of that was also a reaction to her not wanting to get hurt. And there was again a parallelism between the relationship with V, her not wanting to get close, like not she's afraid of people getting close to her, but on the other hand she's trying to win the kind of appreciation of the entire family of the Aldecados. So and part of her aggressive nature is that possibly that fear of getting hurt. So she puts up that wall. But so that you see the wall physically when she's dealing with anything to do with the family. But then with you, she's getting close and she knows her walls are breaking down. And so you kind of learn about why the walls are there. And so I like that parallelism that happens through there. So that the more confident she gets with the Aldecados and the family and gaining control, and she aligns with Saul and stuff like that. That's when she starts to she lets her walls down, her defenses down, so that she can actually try to take that chance, take that risk to start a relationship with someone that's a little bit deeper. The progression of that quest was just beautifully written. I enjoyed it.
I think almost everyone here can vouch for it's tough when you pull the walls down and start a relationship, because you're very vulnerable, and it's tough if things don't work out. It's a high risk, high reward kind of thing. So I can totally understand her being in that spot.
I mean, I'll say that there's a bit of a personal, like that one's the one that probably gets to me. I see myself in Pan Am a lot with the way that she behaves, the way that she acts, her character, her sense of, I guess, her place in life, and the relationships, the people around her. Like, not to say that I like the idea of getting close to people. I enjoy people, but there's definitely a wall in my life. And strangely enough, Pan Am looks nearly identical to my last long-term relationship, and so it was like right when I saw her, I was like, oh Jesus, this is like that was like my Cinderman moment that David had.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
This interesting. Where's this going to go? And so it's I thought that was there was some layers there. I mean, I'll send you an image, a Hark on Discord. I'm just curious. To kind of. And then you can let the people know, but I don't want to share her image. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. I won't do that. But wow, that's cool, actually.
Even the hair, you don't understand.
Maybe she was the model, the face model. You never know. Maybe she got some extra
what
cash.
What is she doing today? No.
You never know. How about you, Kathleen? Google. Do you have any thoughts? Google.
No, I would never. That's creepy. Sorry, Jesus.
I really like Pan Am. She seems like you all have said, pretty genuine and like really great person. And I really enjoy how all these characters are so fleshed out, not only like physically, but also they feel multi-layered and realistic. So yeah, I was really disappointed that she rejected me. She was like kind of like toying with like with like putting her leg and stuff. But then it, for me as like a mostly feminine person, this has happened to me. Like it happens to me almost on a daily basis, where I have to like set physical boundaries with my friends who feel like, because like I'm super feminine and they're super feminine, that they can like, I don't know, like there's just certain things that girls do, like hit each other's butts. Like, like talk about their boobs or whatever. Like I had a friend like send me a picture of her in a bra, and she's like, what do you think of this bra? And I'm like I don't really feel comfortable. yeah I'm like, that is interesting. I'm like listen, you look great, but I don't think this is like, if I were in a committed relationship and my partner found that, they would be really mad. So
I never thought about
yeah,
that.
so it's just boundaries that like I have to set, and then also like I have to realize sometimes when it feels like they're flirting, they're just being like girly, you know. So that's how I kind of felt in that moment of like, oh, she just felt comfortable with me, and I kind of ruined that. But then it like the next day we just kind of blow it off, and it's like no big deal, you know. So yeah.
Well, I feel better now because I was genuinely surprised that even if you're female, that she still does the leg thing. So I'm not I don't feel as bad now because I definitely thought River was sending some signals. I was like, are you, what? Are you? Yeah, but we'll talk more about that later. Anything else about avocados before we move on?
Yep.
All right.
Check your Discord, Hark, real quick, just to close this off.
Oh, okay.
If you got a moment. I'll say that the scene inside the basilisk was a little like I got thrown off by how far the game does go with its scenes. Where it's like, Jesus, can I put this on YouTube? Like I got legitimate like fuck, I'm cutting around some of this. Like this is like I'm cool with all of this, but not when I'm reacting to it on Facecam. Oh really?
Have you guys seen the Judy scene?
No.
I've seen soft porn that's not as much as Judy. Like, is this? Whoa, they're really going for it. Whoa.
Okay then.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty much porn. Yeah, it was porn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm like,
well,
that's fine.
Interesting.
She has a very cool. She has a very cool tattoo on one of her boobs.
Okay.
So. She has a spider, like a spider web, like on her boob.
Neat.
So.
To respond back to Shay, he just sent me the photos of his ex-girlfriend, and yeah, like they look very close. I can attest, they look very close. That's interesting.
Cool.
So
cool slash
my heart's with
awkward.
Awkward. Yeah.
Awkward. All right, so I think that kind of covers the main quest route. So I wanted to touch on at least one more side quest in Act 2, which was the coin-operated boy. So it was Brendan, I think, is the name of the vending machine, and I feel like Kathleen probably knows this. I don't know about David or Shay because I don't know if you guys ever played Detroit Become Human, but
not yet. No,
I'm assuming you know who the voice actor is for Brendan. Kathleen, do you know who that is?
No, who is it?
It's Brian
Is it
Deckhart.
It's Brian Deckhart. Yeah.
Plays Connor.
They changed his voice a little bit.
They did. They altered his voice, and I didn't recognize
love
it
Brian.
either.
Do you follow his Let's Plays? Oh, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Quick question. I love him. He's great with his fans. So good with his fans. But
so
again, trying to take this back to Cyberpunk. Yeah, I didn't recognize his voice either. No, totally. A lot of people are watching also, I'm sure, love Brian as well. But no, I didn't recognize his voice. And then I learned that he was the voice actor. And then after that, I was hearing it. I was like, oh, okay, I can get it now. But thoughts on the coin-operated boy quest?
How far did you get, David? First to see.
How far did you get?
Yeah.
You can spoil me. That's fine. I got to where he's gone.
Okay.
Oh, where he's gone. Got it.
Okay.
Kathleen,
you're good, right? You got to there. Okay.
Yeah, I got the full mission.
Okay.
Oh, is this a sad thing?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to explain one of
David's logical mind? He's like,
Give
whatever. He was an AI. Fuck him.
Yeah. Okay. Well done.
No, David. Yeah. Why did you? Because I feel like I think the three of us had a bit of a connection there to Brendan. So, what's your take on it?
I thought it was kind of like a side thing, funny side thing only for a few quests, and then he's gone forever. But I felt like he was too sentient to be just a robot kind of thing. I don't know. It felt weird. And he gave out advice and stuff, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
To this
Got
Help people
girl,
with their
like
life problems. With
yeah,
a
it was kind of
psychologist.
nice. But yeah,
So you thought there was more to him than just like this is the
I thought
AI
it was
for
kind
the
of
vending
weird that the
machine.
quest just ended there. So like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Just gonna go finish the game now.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the self-awareness at the end that threw me off because I got so invested in the character and the journey of that character and the relationship that that vending machine had with what was her name, Julie? I forget who that character was who kept showing
Right.
up.
Who by the way, the voice actor of that woman is Brian Deckhart's real life wife.
Oh my gosh.
Amelia.
The
I think
meta
Amelia
is
Rose.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Amelia.
it was really meta.
Aww.
They actually do play through
So cool.
that part of Cyberpunk.
Oh.
Brian and his wife do play through that because I mean they voice acted
That's so cool.
all the lines, so they know what happens. But it's interesting just to see their reactions to
Okay, so
their
what
themselves.
happens? Can someone tell me what happens?
Yeah, so they take him away because he comes because too many people are going to buy pop, but they end up sticking around for the psychological talk that
Yeah.
Brendan will have with them. So there's a lot of people just standing around talking to this vending machine instead of paying it for drinks or whatever the case might be. And so the corpo attitude is like, well, this thing is glitched, like it's too much like a human being in its thinking, and so it needs to get rebooted. It needs to get assimilated into the entire force of vending machines, AIs. Like they all has to get standardized, and there's got to be no individual identity that evolves out of this. Yeah,
I think I finished it, by the way. Yeah, you go to the repair shop.
Yes.
he goes to the repair shop.
Oh yeah, of
and
course.
it's the self-awareness of Brendan going, no, that is what I am. And it's like, what do you mean? You don't want to fight this? Like, you're supposed to be like, you're more than that coding, you know? And like, but he doesn't even acknowledge that he's more. He's still, like, the way I perceived it was like, he's still programmed to believe he's a program, even though he's gone well beyond the boundaries of what a programmed AI is. And he's starting to step into the empathic, like, how do you get empathy? Well, that's the one thing that the whole philosophy of robots, right? Like, when does AI become more human than human? And it's like, well, it's the empathy. That's what you can't really program. You got to learn that in life. But that's literally all he's doing instead of selling pop, you know? And I do feel like I think there was something else that potentially is happening. Again, that neo-spirituality that happens in a world like this, where the digital realm is starting to actually manifest something kind of like the Fade, if you will, like in Dragon Age Inquisition. Like there's an idea there that started to kind of manifest inside this game for me with things like, again, side character like Brendan. It could just be a throwaway quest. But if you think deeper about what you're experiencing, there's some thought experiments there and some layers to the setting, the world lore, that might connect to the Voodoo Boys for all we know. Like it might connect to the Wall. It might connect to what happened to Alt. It might connect to, there's a bunch of other stuff that could be going on right now that we just haven't cracked the layer into, because it's an entirely new way of thinking about existence and identity and reality. So it's Brendan was amazing. I love him. Yeah.
It's called Skynet.
Right.
That's what it becomes.
Oh, well.
Skynet.
Well done. Nuke it from orbit.
So don't trust it. Anyways, no matter what.
Kathleen, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I really like this cute little character. He was so sweet, and the sad and beautiful thing about it is that he was kind of developing into his own very potentially powerful thing. It was just like a vending machine, and this could have been really on the cusp of like an AI gaining sentience. And I mean, I guess that's kind of terrifying, but to me that's like, it's kind of beautiful seeing this like new life kind of like grow.
Yeah.
And I felt like at the end I was with him in his last moments before he died, and it was really sad.
That was wonderful last
You know,
moment.
also coin operated boy. I don't know if you guys ever listened to the Dresden Dolls?
Mm-mm.
Not for ages.
Is that a reference?
So
the old band?
Yeah, it's an old band. Dresden Dolls, they were like, I don't know, it's really hard to describe what kind of music they are. I'd suggest you look it up if you haven't listened to them. They're very interesting. Like my favorite song is Girl Anachronism. Gosh, it was like when I was in high school. But they have one song about called Coin Operated Boy. And it's about a girl who has like a robotic boyfriend, and that if she just puts a coin in him, that like in the little coin slot in his heart or something, that he'll do whatever she wants.
Do you know why?
I thought it's kind of interesting how they have.
Wow.
Do you know why they had that quest line? I think it's Coin Operator Boy is the quest line title,
Yes.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I believe I read this, that all the quest lines are actually
Songs.
titles of songs.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah,
Really?
Stairway to
Yeah.
Heaven. There's
all of them. So
Killing in
it's
the Name
probably
of.
from that song.
Rage
That's
Against the
so
Machine.
cool.
There's some doors in there. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a song called Sinnerman, I guess, somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh man, there's got to
Yeah.
be a playlist I should listen
In the
to.
80s.
after
And they're
this.
mostly 80s songs, I've noticed. 70s and 80s.
That's super cool. Yeah, Beast in Me definitely sounds like that's really neat. Now that I'm going through all of these, that's really cool. I never knew that. Wow, good
You're welcome.
catch. Good, thank you. This is why we have David here to not only tell us what the correct thing is, but to drop in nuggets of wisdom like that.
Wow, struck my ego. It could go into when does AI become sentient and blah blah blah, but that's gonna take hours. But it's one of those things that we ourselves are kind of like,
we can't figure ourselves out. We're not gonna figure out AI right now.
We have so it's a tough one, but yeah, it's cool.
I was very disappointed that I was not ultimately able to help Brendan go deviant, which I believe that was on purpose. I believe that's why they purposely had Brian do that particular mission, or be that voice that particular character. I think that's super cool. All right, great. So because we already breached the topics on several occasions, let's talk romances finally. I think we can finally talk romances. So we talked a bit about Judy. We talked a bit about Pan Am. We certainly can keep diving more into them. I don't think anyone here actually legitimately went through the river romance, but I can still speak on that a little bit. And I certainly have a lot to say about Carrie, but I want to start with you all first before I go on to my Carrie discussion.
I think Pan Am's covered at this point, so it's up to Kathleen and you to give us the scoops.
Kathleen, do you want to go first with Judy or anyone really? Any of them?
I'm going to talk about Judy.
She's got to roll the decks. Kathleen, just like this NPC.
No, it's funny. I do that like in every game because I think it's a really cool part of a game. Like, I mean, I've almost romanced everyone in Mass Effect except for Miranda and Jacob because they are pieces of crap in my opinion. But yeah, so
poor Jacob.
Sorry if you like them. Anyways, Judy, I feel like Judy was tailor-made for lesbians. Like she actually has like a lot of like lesbian tropes, but it's done tastefully and like in a very funny way. Like one that really stuck out to me. I guess we can't really get too into it because I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that like it's like the oldest lesbian joke in the book, but the idea that lesbians U-Haul is a very old joke because the idea is that lesbian relationships go very quickly because girls can be clingy. And as much as I want to say that's not true, sometimes the stereotype is kind of true. And like Judy like legitimately just as soon as the relationship starts, it like goes from 0 to 100. Like she U-Hauls it totally. She gives you the keys. She's like, yeah, here, have my keys. And I laughed out loud when that happened. I was like, this is so funny, but so like relatable at the same time. So yeah. And I liked her tattoos. Yeah. I liked her little spider boob tattoo. It's cool.
Cool. So it sounds like you were super satisfied with the Judy romance and
I almost wish that awesome. I don't know, there was like something I kind of wish that I don't know, like I wish it was like a longer romance, honestly. I just wish there was more.
Okay.
I mean, even as someone who was no intention to romance Judy, but I had it in my head that they'd like riff on each other. Like, she was in that wetsuit, and I was like, I mean, that ass though, right? It's like the same river kind of scenario. It's like, Jesus, did they they explicitly made it so that you're going to make a decision here, or you're going to move forward here, because they're trying to trigger that kind of that emotion in the player, you know. But there's like right before you dive into the dam,
Oh yes, I know.
there's like you can make a comment. There's one selection. I was like, I don't want to do it, but like as a friend, like I feel like if he was buddies with her, like they'd make comments about each other. If you feel comfortable around your friends, like even if they're sexy, they're sexy. You don't I don't care what the fucking sex they're. It's like you just say what you got to say, because that's the kind of buddy camaraderie you have, you know. But she's like, don't even go there, V. And it's like, okay, that's that might have been a shut down moment.
I felt so. It was just one of
fun.
It was one of the blue options. Like, okay, I'm gonna pick everyone, and I felt so.
But you got to do it.
No, she said it in a way like, don't.
Yeah, no, it was like
she was very serious, and I'm like, oh shit,
I felt wrong. It felt
like,
wrong.
oh, I feel so guilty. Yeah,
that's the friend line.
Yeah, that's and then you see a female lead do that line, and she's like much fluffier. Like, okay, nice. Yeah, but when I did it, I like, oh, should I reload? Because that felt horrible.
I rolled with it.
Dude, why did
Kathleen,
I do that?
Did you make that decision, Kathleen? Did you make a comment about her body?
Oh,
like when she...
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's Kathleen.
Because, well, the thing
It's
though
Kathleen.
too is
it could have been Brendan in a wetsuit and Kathleen was like that. That ass.
I know. You're not wrong. Okay. But anyways, the relationship with Judy is very flirty as if you play as a female player, like throughout the whole time. Like she's constantly she's constantly throwing lines at you, and that's another reason why I felt like legitimately like a lesbian romance, which was really cool. I felt like they did it. It wasn't like showy. Like there's so many lesbian romances where it's like, okay, let's watch two girls make out, and it seems it's very like male gaze oriented. But like this was like, it's just for me. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So
You got
happy
that.
to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that.
Okay. I'm feeling Hark has something to say about his romance here. Okay, give it to us.
So I'll try.
Is it the opposite feeling of?
I know some of this.
I talked to David about this, and a lot of it is actually Act 3 based. So I'm going to save a lot of Act 3 stuff for later, and try to keep this strictly where I was at by the end of Act 2, and not bring up anything that came up with Act 3. So I will try to keep this short because I had a lot to say in my LP, and will try my best to not repeat what I'm saying and try to only hit the main points. So, in a nutshell, I struggled with Carrie as a romance, and here's one of the things. So, first off, in order to unlock the ability to meet Carrie in the first place. You may have to first go through the quest line where Johnny asks Rogue out. Like Johnny takes over your body and takes Rogue to the movies, to the drive-in theater. And I don't want to talk about Johnny at the moment because I want to save that for another part of this conversation. But all I will say is I was very, very reluctant to let Johnny take over my body again for various reasons, and I didn't feel it was in character for my character to do that. But then I found out, well, if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to do your romance, your possible gay romance, which is the only gay option in this entire game. I'll talk about that later. So I felt like my hands were tied. I want to be able to stay true and from a role-playing aspect, but at the same time, it's a gay Let's Play, and the whole reason I do gay Let's Plays is so I can experience the gay romance and then evaluate it as a gay player. And so I had to choose the lesser of two evils and said, okay, fine, I'll let Johnny take over my body. And so we go to this date, and the game encourages you. It doesn't force you, but encourages you to essentially have sex with this woman. So you can say no, but if you do, Johnny sees it as a failure. Like, you don't fail the mission, but he says, well, I guess because I wasn't able to rekindle something and then have sex with this woman, then in his eyes, it was a failure. So right there, I thought it was a little problematic because the only way that a gay man like myself can even meet the gay romance, I have to be forced essentially into this date with a woman and possibly have sex with a woman before I go into a gay romance. So that for me felt really strange from a game design perspective. So right off the bat, I had a bad taste in my mouth. It is possible to skip the date entirely, but in order to do that, you have to basically like completely have a fallout with Johnny and tell Johnny to like F you, and therefore this whole option doesn't happen. And then you can still meet Carrie. But I unfortunately didn't fall into that category. So that to me sounded strange. I don't know whose bright idea that was, but on paper, it just didn't make any sense. Then I meet Carrie. And so I think, to be fair, Carrie was already at a disadvantage because I had such a huge connection with River. Because all physicalities aside, like I really, in terms of just plain personality and what his character was like and what his values were and what his code was, River's type was very much in line with my type. And unfortunately, and this happens all the time in so many other video games where romances are available, and there's the straight romance and then there's the gay romance. Many of the gay romances fit a certain archetype, and the straight romances fit another certain archetype. One big example is Alistair. Alistair very much fits this specific archetype, and Caden kind of fit that archetype too in Mass Effect, and those were the characters I really wanted to gravitate. But the gay characters end up more like Zevron characters, and I don't have a problem with Zevron. It's just they tend to always give me the Zevron type characters as the gay options, and the Alistair and Riverward options are for the straight women, and I was so upset. Why is this happening again? I was so angry, and I had no problem with River being straight, but the one part that really got me drawn to him was the mission where you actually got to hang out with his family, and you had this lovely dinner with him, and there was this amazing conversation where I don't remember if it was River's sister or his cousin. I don't remember who it was. But she basically asked River, hey, have you ever thought about settling down, maybe having a few kids? And as soon as we got that conversation, as a family man, oh my God, like that is, I eat that kind of stuff. If I can find a gay man who wants to settle down and have kids like that, I was all over that. And River, we connected so much on that level. And so it was so heartbreaking when, it just didn't work out, because I really felt we were connected, but it was very realistic too. Because I mean, it's you can fall in love with somebody and it just doesn't work out, and that's just something that I just have to deal with. So then here comes Carrie, and so he already had a high bar that he had to go through. And my biggest hang up with the Carrie storyline, not even the romance, but the storyline is, you've got Judy. Judy's got like this amazing arc with like Evelyn, and you get this really deep like flirty flirty moments with her. Panam is amazing. You've got all this stuff going on with the Aldecaldos, and she's flirting with you left and right. And then I already talked about River and why I love River. And then first of all, with Carrie, for the first half of his route, he doesn't really interact with you much. Like, the whole reason why he's talking to you in the first place is because of Johnny. Mm-hmm. And he's basically interacting you with Johnny in my body, in control. Mm-hmm. And then even when there was, like, the moment where they had the concert, like, we got this one chance where I can actually talk to Carrie one-on-one as V and not Johnny. And the conversation lasts for, like, a minute. Yeah. And then he pieces out. Yeah. See ya. And I'm like, but... Yeah. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to bond with you.
100% sure he was not a romanceable character.
Yeah. I'm trying to connect with you. Yeah. I knew he was romanceable. At that moment, I knew he was the gay romance, but he just got up and pieced out like, where's my connection? I had that with Judy. I had that with River. I had that. And so I was like, and he doesn't flirt with you. Like Judy flirts with you, Panam flirts with you, River flirts with you, regardless of what sex you are, they flirt with you. And so when Carrie doesn't really show any interest with you, at least not for the first like 80% of his arc, that really annoyed me that everybody else got that. And so already I was feeling like the gay men were getting the short end of the stick. And then what really
this
hit the nail
time,
in
Kathleen had already had sex with 2 people, Hark.
right, exactly. By this time, Kathleen's had 2 people. So,
And
but
I would
really-
have had sex with more.
There are 3
Let's be
available in Jake
honest.
Street. Let's be fair. She's probably done all 3 of them in Jake Street.
Yeah.
Hey, don't call me out. Those don't count.
what really nailed it in the coffin for me was that when I finally got to the Carrie mission, his whole mission was, there are these Japanese pop girls that are ruining my career, and I need to mess them up, and I need to carjack this person and blow his car up, and blah 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 blah. And it just, whole thing just seems so petty compared to the super rich and engaging River story and Judy story and Panam story. Like, it was so amazing and wonderful. And now that I met Carrie, it was like, after experiencing these 3 people as platonic relationships, I can't wait to see what I'm going to have with Carrie and how rich it is. But it was like, no, I'm a washed up blah blah. With it was like a joke. And I was like, why did I get the short end of the stick of this? Like, did the writers just not care?
It seems so weird because
like,
he's so connected to Johnny. He could do a big thing there.
Yeah. And so it was so hard for me to connect with him on a deep romantic level, because I was able to connect so deeply with the other 3, even as friends. Because his mission just wasn't, it was very shallow and petty to me.
Yeah.
And I get, maybe it's because they were trying to do something different. We want to give him a fun mission that you don't have to take him too seriously. But I'm like, that's what I want. I want something deep and meaningful.
Aww.
And it ended up not being so. And so, yeah, by the end, Carrie was managed to scrounge up a little bit at the end that allowed me to romance him, like go down the romance route. But even then, the climax of the romance route was him stealing a boat, stealing this yacht, because that was the first things I said in my Let's Plays, like let me guess, you stole this. And I was sort of half joking, hoping that he didn't actually steal the boat, because I would thought maybe he turned a new leaf. I thought I was starting to see a change in him, and I can finally start genuinely liking this character and caring for this character. But then he mentions, you know what, not only did I steal the ship, let's go sabotage it and blow it up. Isn't that fun? Like, isn't that fun? Let's do more blowing things up. And I'm like, this is so not my idea of a date, of a good romantic date. Like, I get it. Sure, they're trying to do something different and edgy, but at least for me personally, it just felt so flat. And the entire time I was like, make it stop. Let me just get through this road.
I'm literally going through this thread line, thinking about Hark the entire time. Like, he's not going to enjoy this. Like, he's not. This is nothing for him. This is. If I'm feeling these feelings, I don't understand. I don't see why anyone would feel any kind of motivation to push the actual romance track with this guy. Like, he's a piece of shit. Like,
I was so tempted. I seriously was so tempted to just turn around and go back to Panam and like go back and like, you know what? No, I'm going to do a straight.
Just headcanon the river, man. Just headcanon the river path. Don't even like.
I was so tempted to just go back to all of my videos and just for the fun, for the humor of it, edit it to say straight Let's Play. We're doing a straight Let's Play of Cyberpunk.
Abort. I'm so sorry, Hark. That sucks.
There'll be a mod one day. There'll be a mod one day for River. You'll get redemption.
Yeah. So again, I apologize. It took a long time, but it was.
No, you said all the exact. Yeah, I think a lot of people are likely feeling what you felt, right? Because it did feel like a bit of a throwaway.
I a little bit more to say for Act 3, but I'll say that for Act 3. So, thank you for letting me get that.
This is the last quest I'm on right now before Endgame. I'm going through the Carrie plot, and I'm like, even this is like, can I just skip this? I'm just gonna go to Endgame. Like, I don't want to go through this. Like, I don't like anything about the character.
Because I think that my romances added so much to the game. Like how I felt, and we're not going to talk about Act 3, but how it went into Act 3 and everything. It just felt so natural and awesome. Again, straight male. I know I get all the good stuff.
Hark, I actually can relate to that a lot. Like that's how I felt when I played the first Mass Effect game. I was I was so disappointed, and I wasn't out at that time, so I felt like totally okay with like romancing Kaden and like just telling people I romanced Kaden because I was like, okay, you know, because the only other option was Liara, and I didn't like her until Mass Effect 2. In Mass Effect 2, I was like, hell yeah, she's a bad bitch. But before that, she was just like, oh, I'm so scared of my little tower. I'm like, no, fuck off. So, yeah, I get that.
I love it. This wouldn't be a big of a deal at all if it weren't for the fact that Carrie was the gay romance.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
yeah, that sucks.
I did like Carrie as a character. He was a fine character. The whole like blowing up the yacht and everything. If he wasn't romanceable, I think I would have accepted that scene a lot better. Because that's just who he is, and I appreciate it. And since I don't have to worry about having to be attracted to him in order to experience a gay romance in this game, it wouldn't have been as bad. But because he was the only option, and I think we're going to get to this in the later part, is there should have been more options. I think the way that they advertised this game, it sounded like we would have more options instead of here's the straight one, here's the lesbian one, here's the straight male, here's the straight female, here's the lesbian one, here's the gay one. Like, yes, you can sleep with other people in this game, but that's not enough. So sorry.
He does look so cool though, I have to say. Like his look, I love his his hairstyle, his makeup, and everything is really cool. But
and he's also Filipino from what I've been told, and I thought that was a really cool like way to like represent more Filipinos. So yeah, I was so underwhelmed.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has anything to say about romances before we move to other romances that weren't in the game but should have been in the game. We can open up to that if you'd like.
We can segue. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember if I talked about Meredith in Act 1, the one with the talk we had in Act 1. You can slip into something with her if you saved her at the beginning. You end up going to the No-Tell Motel, and then you run into her, and it's a one-night stand, and then you get basically a dildo weapon that you can swing around and beat the crap out of people with, which of course I did for hours and hours on end. You get like a legendary, iconic, dildo knife. And it goes every time you hit someone with it. So of course, 20 hours later, a street cred 50. But it's a so there's that. So moments like that are cool that they could happen, but it felt like it should have been a bit more open, like where it could have gone. There's plenty of NPCs in this game, and I don't know, there's opportunity there.
Kathleen, do you have other people on your list?
Man, I already talked to, let's see, who's on my list? I think I've talked about everyone on my list. I mean, Takamura, he would have been cool. Takamura's daddy. Victor, that one guy. What's his name?
Victor.
Victor? The Ripper Doc.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Vic. Victor. Yes. I can see that too.
He would have been a really cool romance. I can see that too. And the reason why I say that, so I have like a strategy to this. I'm like, okay, if I'm a writer and I'm thinking about, obviously we all know there's a problem. There's not enough romance in this game. If you have a character like that who is so tied into their story, V's story, that could be very meaningful. And like, I mean, he's the first person you see and I think the person that gives you the bad news that your mental state is decaying as a result of this. And I think that would just put a really bittersweet kind of beautiful story with that character. And that could be like a potential bisexual character. There should be some bi boy representation. Also, why don't we have a voodoo boy?
I think that would be boy option too.
Because like I said, I like the jackets, and that's my only reason.
Those are Valentinos for me.
I just want them to speak French to me, honestly.
Their vibe is really hot
to me. Yeah. That's great. I How about you, David? I don't know if you thought about this or had anyone in mind.
Not
Other
really.
than Misty, because I know Misty's a big one.
Yeah,
for
Misty.
you.
Misty's nice. I would like to have a romance with her if possible. But not. I just love the Panem romance so much that I didn't even think about other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, your perfect straight male romance.
Yeah,
The perfect.
When you put it like that, I feel guilty. Sorry, I was born straight. I can't.
You and your privileged self, David.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Oh, okay.
The only person I want to add is someone that I actually was surprised by, and this is someone who I didn't really see in that way, believe it or not, until Act 3. And I'll talk more about this person in Act 3, but I actually ended up by Act 3 really liking, in a romantic way, Mitch, who is the avocado guy.
Oh, Mitch!
Is with Scorpion, yeah. Mitch. Yeah. I ended up really, if I basically said in Act 3, I said if there was an option between Mitch and Carrie, I'd be going over to Mitch in a heartbeat. But I'll talk more about that in Act 3. So, is there anything else before we close? I know that I wanted to talk a lot about just Johnny in general, but I think we can save that for Act 3.
Yeah, I will say to end off this romance piece here, there might be some good news based on the hack or the leaks that went out from CD Projekt Red that one of the DLCs is going to be a romance expansion. Now that's all rumor, of course, but there's implications that there was already more on the code, and there's going to be stuff that's coming that's going to unlock that. So that might be, maybe they talked about that because it was supposed to be there, right? But then accelerated launch, maybe they didn't. We don't know, right? We don't know the story, but we'll see.
Probably no Johnny romance. Did you hear about so someone did a mod and they took it off because
that's right. Keanu stepped in. He's like, no. Don't let people have sex.
You can have sex with yourself.
That would be interesting, though. Like, if you fell in love, if there was another entity, another person in your head, and you fell in love with that person in your head, that would be really interesting, huh?
That is where to expand on that, that's where I wish they expanded some of the romances. There was way more opportunity to go even beyond. Like, I was waiting for a character to show up that was romanceable. That might have been like, I'm not gonna say Adam Smasher because obviously he's a monster, but I'm saying like someone who's like, because we got some of those short stories, right, where the person who gets their brain transplant, and then there's like they have their psyche gets kind of uploaded, so it's like their person is there, but they're not, so like things like that where it might be an android, or it might be like just go further with it. You're in this world now where you could have attractions with people who don't fit the cookie cutter understanding that we have today, right? This is years in the future, and people can be whatever they want, including technical. And so that's why Brendan kind of stood out to me. I was like, oh, he'd be kind of cool. Like, I could see, like, not getting in a relationship with Brendan, but like having that kind of like a deeper kind of interaction there with something like that, like an idea like that, would have been cool for me.
I think in all of these cases, probably it's just time and money. I think CD Projekt was really struggling with time at the end, and I mean, if they had unlimited money and time, I think we'd have all the romances. We have 4 now, right? Mm-hmm. 1 for each.
We'll see. Mods and expansions. I think it's coming. I think this game is going to expand over time. I think it got a shaky start, but this game has room to grow. Like, it's the foundation's there. Crossing fingers.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. I know there's a lot of other missions that we did not talk about. We've been at this for a little bit more than 3 hours, so even then, there's so much more we can talk about just in Act 2 alone. So if any of you guys had any other missions or quests that you particularly liked or you particularly found profound, please feel free to post those missions and quests in the comments below and give us your thoughts on them too, or any other thoughts that you have with what we talked about. Just let us know if you agree or disagree with many of our comments. I mean, David's going to say you're wrong, but you can still
try.
You can still comment. You have the right to comment on wrong opinions. So You have that right.
Jesus Christ.
and,
Who do you think I am? Like some sort of dictator? Sorry, guys.
We're just gonna keep beating that dead
beating
horse.
that dead horse. And tune in next time for our Act 3 talk, where we will discuss not only Act 3 but also just the game in general, and a lot more on Johnny the character, since we weren't able to touch on him.
It's a big
here.
one. Mm-hmm.
It's a big one. So thank you to the three of you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy to have you guys come again, especially for those of you who worked so hard to rush and beat the game quickly, and for those of you who beat the game a while ago and not have to like remember everything.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But yeah, so until next time, everybody, love yourselves and love each other.
Bye.
Bye.